Regular meeting, March 13th, 2018, Village Hall to order. First up is the adoption of the agenda. Do you have any changes?
I think we want to
Subtractions.
move number 7, public hearings, up to make that the new number 4 under public comment so that Kelly can,
Okay. And
Do what
everything
she needs
moves.
to do.
Everything moves down.
yep.
All right. Okay, so what becomes 7?
I got one. Chris, are you discussing Brian Beatty's plaque or whatever we've done? Because we were supposed to have that on the agenda and I don't see it.
We
I don't know,
invited him
yours.
to come.
We invited him, but he never responded.
I asked him today, he says he didn't hear anything.
I sent him an email to the email that was given to me on the sheet of paper. And that's
Well,
the
we
email that I
changed
sent.
jobs, so that's probably what happened. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, he
We
changed
didn't know
jobs.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, that's no
Okay.
big
Can we
thing.
put that then? Because he'd want to be here, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah,
that
we'll
all right?
put that on the
Yeah, I
next
just wanted to make
agenda.
sure we didn't.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
all.
Do you have a more current
Yeah,
email address for
I'll-
him? Will you give that to me?
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Mark? Yeah.
And I would like to, don't get worried here, but I do want to pull the minutes just to discuss because there are some clerical errors as far as for September 20th. Just some verbiage that needs to be changed. We could change real quick and spelling issues and stuff like that. Same as October 10th. 8/31 was good for me. Oh, why did I have pull on that? I don't have to pull that one. So it looks like it's just September 20th and October 10th, and move that to a new 8I, or that would be 9, right?
Is that new
That would now be
business?
the new 9I, unfinished.
Oh, yeah. No, it'll be 8.
7 moves to, everything moves down one, so.
Well, no, because we didn't add anything.
Catches up.
Oh, okay, so it catches up
So
right
8
there.
becomes-
So that
Yeah,
becomes
so
8.
it's- Yeah.
Okay, so
So it's
8I, and that's,
Let's go over the meeting minutes.
yes,
So I have a
just
question.
meeting minutes
So I had a
on
question.
9/20 and also 10/10.
I've got a question about August 31st, so why
Okay.
don't you just say meeting minutes?
So I might add that too then, okay, 8/31. All right?
Moving 831 also?
I just
Yes.
have a question, yeah.
And then,
And you're good with the 27th? July 27th? Minutes?
oh, yes, I was.
You're still good
I
with
was,
those?
yep, those are good to stay on. And then, Robert, I have a question I wanted to ask. I was just gonna just quickly ask some questions about the reduction of the Legion Fields subdivision bonds, and then we can go.
Are you pulling?
Pull it and then make it an 8IJ
Jay?
to go back and get it approved. Just had a
Okay.
couple questions on that, so that is a Legion. Okay. And discussing consider changes trail. Everything else looks good. All right. Any other changes, additions? All right. I'll need a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next up is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We're moving along. The new 4 is public hearings.
Public comment first.
Oh, I'm sorry, public comment. I missed that. My apologies. Do we have anyone signed up?
No one signed up. No one. Do we have someone going to be speaking for the public hearing?
Yes, Kelly is, and I think, is the applicant here?
Is the applicant going to speak?
applicant. Yes, I am the applicant. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, were you planning to speak?
Well, you know, I don't know the process.
Okay.
I think it's better she be sworn in, just in case.
Let me get you to fill this out.
Okay.
I don't know everybody, I don't know these 3 ladies here, so they don't have signs, so I don't know. Okay,
Oh,
Melanie.
that's our village attorney.
Okay,
And
and
Kelly Moore is our planner.
Okay,
Well,
and,
Planner, zoning,
and that's good. All right, and I know Barbie.
you know Kim, right? Okay.
Okay, great.
Sorry, my name tag's hidden too.
She's a new
Yeah.
council.
We're here.
Okay.
Sorry.
We have a pharmacy up here tonight.
Yeah, well, we've been here since 4, so they brought in some food. We made it a working sort of eating
Great.
thing, so apologize for that. So no public comment?
No
Okay.
problem.
All right, so we'll move right into item number 4, public hearing. 4A, conditional use permit number 17-12010 for an accessory structure, allowing a structure greater than 2/3 the size of the principal building footprint. One, discussion consideration of the CUP number 17-12010. So we need a motion to open up the public hearing.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And,
Ask if anyone has any conflicts they need to disclose.
all right,
So
we didn't get that.
that's
Full
all you need
cheat
to worry
sheet.
about.
Okay, anyone in council here have any conflicts of interest regarding this particular CUP? Okay, no one with
Or
any
any
conflicts?
information you think the applicant needs to know if you're familiar with this property, you can buy there. It's 9019
Redbud Trail.
in Providence Estates.
Okay.
Swear, the witnesses in. Barbara will swear the witnesses.
Barbara, okay, so we're gonna have the witnesses swear in.
Do you swear or affirm? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. And I will.
And
Wait, gotta
Kelly.
be Kelly.
Left hand on the Bible.
Left hand. Left hand. That's on the Bible. Do you swear or affirm?
I swear.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And Kelly, you have this, right?
Yes. You have the report, right?
We do, I think.
Okay. So the property is 9019 Redbud Trail.
This is 7.
It's a 5-acre lot, zoned R. Marvin Residential. It's located in Providence Road Estates. The surrounding property is zoned R. Marvin and also R40, Union County. And the area is characterized by large lots. The property abuts to South Carolina state line. And I'm sorry I didn't include this, but if you want to see, the blue is Marvin. So this is in the back of Providence Road Estates where there's a couple of Union County lots. You guys see that?
Okay.
The red.
So that red is the property
an
we're talking
aerial.
about, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So the applicant submitted a permit to add 2 porches to an existing accessory structure that is a storage shed. The porches they wanted to add were 24 by 10 feet and 20 feet by 8 feet. So the existing home, the footprint of the principal building is 1,296 square feet. And the square footage of the accessory structure is 1,477 square feet. So all accessory buildings, I guess I'm just going to read this because I'm getting ahead of myself. So the 20-foot by 8-foot porch was approved because of the numbers in the permit, but we're just asking to add the 24-foot by 10-foot porch, which puts the number of the accessory building over the 2/3 amount of the size of the principal building. And if you look down in the code, 151.054, that's on the bottom of the first page. All accessory structures other than agricultural buildings and swimming pools shall comply with the following. All detached structures shall be located behind the established building line of the principal structure. The side and rear yard setbacks will be side same as principal structure, rear 10 feet from the back. The height of the accessory structure shall not exceed the height of the principal structure. And the maximum size, the total square footage of all accessory detached structures shall not exceed 2/3 of the footprint of the principal building. So that's where the flag went up on this one because it was over the amount, the 2/3 amount by 240 feet.
So, C, on lots greater than 3 acres, accessory structures that exceed the maximum height or size permitted are subject to a conditional use permit. And that's where we're at now with this process. Accessory structures that exceed the maximum height or size permitted shall meet the following. No accessory structure shall exceed 5,000 square feet, and the maximum height of the structure shall be 35 feet. So the proposed accessory structure complies with all the setback requirements. It does not exceed 5,000 square feet or 35 feet in height. The proposed accessory structure would not violate the intent of the R. Marvin Residential District, nor would it significantly impact adjoining property owners. The structure is located approximately 20 feet from the side property line. Additionally, there's significant landscaping. The landscaping sufficiently screens the side yard of the adjacent lot. The planning board reviewed this, and they discussed the following. The addition of the porches doesn't move the accessory building any closer to the property line. The structures, including both proposed porches, are less than 5,000 square feet, and the addition of the porches is adding covered recreational use versus additional living space. So the planning board recommended that the conditional use permit be granted. And as far as finding of facts goes, in consideration, the staff recommends approval of conditional use permit number 17-12010, subject to the following conditions. Accessory structure shall not be used for commercial or industrial use, or warehouse storage related to commercial or industrial uses. The accessory structure shall be a non-habitable structure, and the existing older, smaller shed on the property will be removed as indicated on original permit 17-11984. And in considering the request for a conditional use permit, the village council shall make the following findings. The use will not materially endanger the public health or safety if located where proposed and developed according to plan. The use meets all required conditions and specifications. The use will not substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property, or the use is a public necessity. Location and character of the use, if developed according to the plans as submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located and will be in general conformity with this chapter in the village land use plan.
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
Are you okay removing the smaller shed?
Yes.
I'm good.
Okay, so it was, right now, they're just, if I read this right when I was reading this and prepping for this, they were just expanding the existing shed, is it
She
roof?
wanted to add 2 porches onto the shed, which put it over the 2/3 amount
Okay.
for
Okay.
the square footage.
Just the front porch and this side porch, and that was it. And on the original blueprint, what we submitted is that the old structure would be removed.
Okay.
And everything was properly posted and notified as far as the public hearing, and we had no anything from the neighbors or anything.
Not a thing.
Yeah, nobody signed up to speak.
It was published on the 25th of February, right? You sent the notice out.
So is there something we go down and,
If you all are through asking questions,
okay,
then you close the hearing, but first make sure that the applicant's willing to accept all of these conditions,
okay,
assuming you're gonna put those on the permit.
okay. So going around to council, any other further questions for the applicant? Okay. And to the applicant, are you okay with all the findings or at the recommendations with the, what do you call it, the conditions?
Conditions of the accessory.
Okay.
And the,
You're familiar with all of those?
yes.
Okay. Pointed that. Okay. And then, I'm sorry, I don't do this that often either, so it's new for you, it's fairly new for me too. All right.
I don't do this often either.
Just to clarify, you agree that the accessory structure shall not be used for commercial or industrial uses or warehouse storage related to commercial or industrial
That is
uses?
correct.
You also agree that the accessory structure shall be non-habitable, no one's gonna live in there?
That is correct.
And you've already said the smaller shed will be removed.
That is good.
Okay. We just
Okay.
need on the record that she agrees to those conditions.
Okay.
Then you close the hearing and
All right.
you can discuss, and then when you're ready to vote, you make a motion for each individual.
Each of the
one through
findings of
4.
fact.
Yeah, 1 through 4, forget about 5.
Okay,
And then a motion for the conditions, and then
okay. All right, so I'll
all
need,
those are yes, then a motion to approve.
okay, so need
But if
motion.
any one of those is no, then it does not get approved.
Right,
Barbie, are we recording?
Of course, we always record.
okay. All right, so I'll need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, so I'm going to go through specifically the findings of fact. And again, remind council if they feel that they cannot answer any of these in the affirmative, this will not pass. So we'll go through them individually, 1 through 4. You find the use will not material endanger the public health or safety if located were proposed and developed according to plan. All is in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Second finding of fact is the use meets all required conditions and specifications. All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. The use will not substantially, a third finding, the use will not substantially injure or the value of adjoining or abutting property, or the use is a public necessity. All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And finally, the location and character of the use, if developed according to the plan as submitted and approved, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located and will be in general conformity with this chapter in the village land use plan. All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And then finally,
Someone can make a motion to approve conditional use permit 17-12010 with the following conditions and read those through.
so read those. So someone want to take that?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve conditional use permit number 17-12010, subject to the following conditions. 1, the accessory structure shall not be used for commercial or industrial uses or warehouse storage related to commercial or industrial uses. 2, the accessory structure shall be a non-habitable structure. And 3, the existing older, smaller shed, 12 by 24, will be removed as indicated on original permit 17-11984.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you for coming out. I'm glad we could move it up for you too, so. All right. Next, we're going to the administrator's report, 5. I'm gonna go back to 5 now.
Okay, I just have a couple things that I wanted to mention to you that have come up in the past couple days. The first is just to inform you, we found out today that there will be a controlled burn in Marvin on March 31st. It's going to be on Lark Ridge over in Meadowlark. And this relates to, there was a temporary use permit that you all approved a while back where there was somebody who was staying in their original house while they were building a new house, and their new house is now complete and they're moving in, and so they have contacted the state and the local authorities, and they're going to have a controlled burn of the original house on that property. And I have, we got all the information from them. It's on March 31st, it's from 8 until noon, and we're going to put this out to the residents and put it on our website just so that everybody's aware. And in fact, the homeowner indicated to us today that if any citizens wanted to watch, that was going to be allowed as long as they didn't park right there at the property. So if you hear anything about that, it's on a Saturday.
And it's where, Lark Ridge?
Lark Ridge, yes.
They should park in my house.
Yeah.
Is that the homeowner?
He can talk, but he's here.
Yeah, I'm the owner.
That's, he's
So I don't know. Oh,
Can I say something about that?
Yeah, council okay with that? Yeah, good.
So in my note today, while I understand why you're gonna put it out, I'd ask that you don't publicize it or word it in such a way that it encourages people to come to the neighborhood, because that's not what we want to do for my neighbors, but then also for the fire department that's there. The more people there, it's just, you know, I don't want to encourage that and get traffic in there and all of that. I understand the whole, they're gonna see smoke coming up and you're gonna get phone calls, the fire department's gonna get phone calls potentially, but if you could word it in such a way that it's happening, don't worry about, don't
Right.
worry about it, but not encourage people to go watch it as an event.
Okay,
It's a private drive.
okay, we'll make sure that we indicate just the fact that it's occurring on our website.
On private roads.
Okay. The other thing that I wanted to mention, I had sent you all out an email, but I just wanted to reiterate, and in case you had any questions, we did get some updated information from NCDOT about the roundabouts. They will be letting the contract in mid-May for the first 2 roundabouts, and with an allowable construction start date of June 11th, which is the day after school lets out for the first one, which is the Newtown Marvin Elementary School Road roundabout. And that one is to be completed by August 27th, which is when school starts up again. And then separately, or subsequent to that, they will do the Newtown Waxhaw Marvin Road roundabout, as well as the widening between the 2 roundabouts. And that would start after the first one is done, but to be completed by October 12th, 2018. And that they also said that they are currently in the design phase for the 3rd roundabout at Newtown and Marvin Road, and that they would forward information as soon as they had any more information about that one. So that's with respect to the roundabouts. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that council had suggested previously that we use a transcription service to get caught up with some of the minutes that hadn't been transcribed yet. And so we have done that, and there are 2 sets of them in your consent agenda tonight. And I think there's some of the ones that you might have had questions on, so.
Just spelling.
Okay, so that seems to be going well, and they've got a few more sets that they're working on for us. Another thing, this came up during the budget discussion, was I was going to ask you all about the spring event. We talked about it during the budget session. We've got the movie night, which is Kelly, May 18th,
whatever that Friday
is the spring movie night, and that date has been decided, and we'll look into seeing whether we can get a food truck or 2 to come out that night, possibly, if it's not too
You weren't here
late.
for that, I don't think, that discussion. But we talked about jazzing it up a little bit, so get more people.
And then another thing I wanted to ask was, we do have in the budget to do a second newsletter in the fiscal year. We did one with the tax notices in the fall. I didn't know if you all wanted to try and do a newsletter this spring, or if you wanted to just wait until August again. It isn't that far off.
The more communication, the better.
I mean, how is it gonna be sent out, just regular mail?
Well, that would be the way we would do it, yes, regular mail.
Okay, so we're not employing, or we're not looking at what we're talking about with the HOAs and getting it out that way, which would hit more people. And save printing costs, because we can do it in a PDF file and do everything we're gonna do, and instead of actually printing it and sending it in the mail, we just contact our HOA group and they push it, and there's really no money involved other than the design of whatever we're doing for that.
I understand what's wrong with both. We already have the budget to do this newsletter, we committed to it. You gotta reach more people. You know, there's a lot of people that don't listen to or don't go to their HOAs.
No, this is a push that you get from the HOAs. I'm just saying it reaches more people, so if they're not reading their emails and stuff like that, I mean, it's really an email that's coming from the individual HOAs, but it's our information sent back.
We promise more communication. I think it's on target with what we hope to achieve.
I think you do it both ways.
That's fine, just,
And it's in the budget for this year.
Okay, so we can do a paper one and through the HOAs. And can you all send me an email with any suggestions that you have as far as articles that you'd like to see included? And we'll work up some examples from prior.
Just about the circles to make sure everybody's aware of that.
Mhm.
The big items that we've been doing the last couple of years were the Village Hall, the circles, and
roads.
roads.
We're doing Stone Road
Okay.
in August, and we've got 3
Right.
subdivisions, those started.
Okay, we can update, so I can look at the previous one, update any articles, and then if there's anything else that you all think about. Okay?
I will say that I got a call from Mike Gilboy, who was actually heading up the HOA thing, and the letter that I got, and again, it saves us a lot of time as individuals when we're constantly, if you're out at the grocery store, wherever, people asking what's going on with the roundabouts. I've actually just forwarded him that letter that was sent, it's public information, and just ask him to push that to all the HOAs. At some point, when we're gonna approve a letter that goes out to the HOAs, hopefully we get the buy-in from them or, you know, this kind of stuff. But we've had a meeting with them already, it was well attended. It's probably 14 neighborhoods there, I would guess almost, and
When was this meeting? 'Cause I didn't get anything on it.
when was it?
It was a couple weeks ago. It was something that was organized by the HOAs.
It was organized by the HOAs, and they invited two board members, and I showed up, and
I thought we talked about we wouldn't go.
we went as a
Let
pair.
everybody know.
We went as a pair,
But
and
Nick didn't know, and
no, Nick knew. Nick opted not to go, so,
I didn't know.
yeah.
so we're only letting certain people know?
No, we reached out, and we had 2 people, and they reached out to us, and we went. Because they had
You went.
questions.
I'm just saying, in the future,
I'd be happy to,
to let everybody know, because we're a council, we're not 3 or 2.
yeah, if you showed up at meetings, you might have learned, you start to show up at meetings.
Joe, I
you might
missed one
learn,
meeting
you know, so.
in a year and a half,
I
so
understand.
don't come
I
here,
understand.
Joe. I-
I understand.
Don't come, I've been doing this for 13 years, son.
Yes, all right.
Okay, so
So-
if you wanna go there, you
But
got a lot of
when we
stuff
were,
to
we
say,
were invited,
I'll be all over you.
Kim was invited, I was invited. Nick, I don't think you were invited, but we asked, and we said, checked with him, and that was the 2. We met the I guess, threshold of what you want to see before we actually meet with, and by the way, in full disclosure, I heard from someone from your neighborhood, and I just responded to her. She wanted me to come in, and I just gave her a phone call. So I don't know if that's unacceptable or not. I gave her up to speed on what was happening
Was it Holly?
with what, yes.
I told her you'd be called, she had to.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm not hiding anything by any means, so I'm glad she called and I brought her up to speed on
I couldn't
everything.
Joe, I will mention that my HOA wasn't invited. Our neighborhood wasn't invited.
I wasn't in charge of the invite list. I was asked to, in fact, I wasn't even invited. I learned about it and I asked when it was. I happened to be at the event for my daughter. It was a cotillion event, and I went there, and it happened to be at Firethorn, and I said I could go up, and I met with, Kim was up there, and so there were a few people that they called. I don't know, I wasn't on the invite list. That wasn't my wheelhouse. I was just asked to come, and because I knew the rules, I checked with Kim. She said she was invited, and we said, well, we met that, and any more would have been a quorum. So,
Well, no, I get it. It's just, if all the HOAs were invited, my neighborhood was left out.
I can't
Which is-
speak for that. Yeah.
Which is what it is. My point is that letter, the more communication we can get out. So for instance, the letter my neighborhood would get, we're not a traditional HOA. We're big lots spread out, old neighborhood. People hardly talk to one another. So if we could hit everyone with the newsletter and continue it as long as the budget allows, that would be ideal.
That's fine. I have no problem with that. And we are going to miss people on stuff like that because not
Yeah, that's-
every neighborhood is. Some may not even have an HOA.
And the more the better. The more we can do, the better.
But were you finished? Everything?
Oh,
By
okay.
the way, go ahead.
No, I had
Did
a
you have
question.
more on the administrator?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if this falls into the administrator's report, but I figured I'd ask. There was a gentleman at the last meeting from Tullamore about the closeout with the bonds. I just didn't know if we had an update so that we could know.
We are working on that with him. Laura has been in communication with him and with our engineer and with the developer.
Okay.
Yes, so
Okay.
yes,
I
we
just
are
wanted to-
moving forward and I think he's been responded to.
Okay, I just wanted to check on that since that was
And
brought up.
now that you brought that up, I did also heard from the president of Courtyards at Marvin. I think I copied you on the letter because I know they were reaching out to you guys and asking for your help. But my last email, and I hope you got it, but I don't know if you did, but it was a picture, video of the, what is it, the retention pond is failing and water is just pouring out of it, so he actually took a picture of it. And I think what my understanding in talking to you, that the bond covers the retention. Does it not?
Well, Laura's, again, been working on that. She has talked to the person from the HOA and she's talked to our engineer. And in fact, our engineer is going to go meet with him out at the property to look at it. Because it seems there might be a hole in a pipe that,
Yeah.
and so.
What he
but
took
we
a picture
don't-
of is not a pipe. It looks like it's actual wall.
He sent all the, yeah, I didn't
don't
have
know.
those pictures, he sent them all to Laura though.
Okay.
And so she's seen those, she shared those with the engineer, we've talked to the engineer, he's gonna go out and look at it. We don't believe that the bond covers the retention pond, but, the engineer will look at that more closely.
Okay.
He called today after Laura was gone.
Okay.
And there was something, it may be possible to cover that with the road money.
Oh,
But
okay.
I forwarded it to her voicemail. So
Okay, they were looking into that.
they're working on
Okay,
it.
so I
Yeah.
think, did I copy you? Did you get that email or you just
I
haven't
got,
seen it yet?
you forwarded it, the email, there were no pictures with it.
Okay.
So
I
then
thought,
he
I just
sent-
assumed a video would go with it because he sent me a video in his email. so
But then
maybe
he
we'll
sent
look
that
at
to Laura, and
Okay.
she sent that to the engineer, and she's working on that.
So we're at least looking at it.
Yes, so
Okay.
she's talked to them both today a couple of times, and there's a meeting scheduled for him to go out there and meet with the HOA person, and I feel like there's gonna be 3 people at the meeting. I'm trying to
Okay.
think who the other person is.
All right, so we're trying to work with them and
Yes.
keep that, which is good, so,
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
That's all I had. Anyone else? And by the way, just for those in the audience, you're doing a bang-up job trying
thank
to
you.
cover as interim administrator, and we're hoping to fill that position soon. So thank you
Thanks.
for all of the extra time and effort that you've been doing to put this all together and be up on things like you have. So thank you for that. So, all right, we'll go on to our next item, which is 6, planning board update.
And I'll cover that. Laura wasn't able to be here tonight, but she sent you all, there was a memo in your packet. There were just a couple things. She wanted to let you know that at the last meeting of the planning board, they talked about the land use plan. They distributed the most current version of the most current draft to all the board members, and they made a plan for doing a review of that. There's about 90 pages without the appendices that need to be reviewed, and so they had committed to review 30 pages each month. And so the next meeting is scheduled for March 20th, and they will come back with their comments on the first 30 pages, which covers the first 4 sections roughly of the plan. And then also after talking at the retreat in February, staff had looked into the possibility of updating the resident survey since the previous one had been done 5 years ago. And an update to this is that the planner talked to Benchmark, who is doing Weddington survey, and found out that roughly it could be around $10,000 to do a new survey, although there are ways that we could cut that cost if we wanted to pursue that further. So we'll get more information on that. That was just today's update. The Code of Ordinances, again, at the retreat, there was a discussion of looking into what had been done to update the Code of Ordinances based on prior reviews that had been done. So staff had reached out to Kevin Bringawat, who had done a review 4 years ago. We haven't heard back from him, but to find out where that review was left off and whether there was anything from that review that we had paid for already that could be used, and also coordinating with Melanie, who has sent us some required changes to the ordinances that need to be made. And so we'll coordinate with Melanie, and Laura's gonna work on that and figuring out what the next steps are.
Okay.
Okay, so that's in process. And then subdivision, she was just letting you know that she's been coordinating with both representatives from Tullamore and Courtyards about closing out these projects related to meetings between staff, the developer, and the HOA representatives. And the final thing was that we did collect the fee in lieu from Broadmoor this past week. So they indicated that they are ready to, they're getting closer to moving forward.
So that money, my understanding is, and I don't know if you were still there at the PRG meeting, that they talked about the fee in lieu being used for the trails and loops.
Right.
Is that correct?
Right, we would need to use this for something recreational related near this neighborhood, and so.
Okay, so that
on
was for recreation, I'm just, okay,
Yes.
for sure.
Yes, so, right, so on that plan that we have, it could potentially be used for a sidewalk, for example, recreational or like trails, greenways, those kinds of things.
The only reason I ask is I heard that, and I remember at one point, Waxhaw, years ago, when they were talking about putting a light there at Bonds Grove in Newtown, that they wanted us to share the cost in that, and because that's so close to, is it not? Oh, no, I'm looking at a different, I'm thinking
You're
about a
thinking of
different.
Barcroft.
I'm thinking of Barcroft, I get those two confused.
Right, no,
Okay.
fee in lieu.
Aren't we getting a fee in lieu for Barcroft?
We
too?
received that already.
Okay,
Mhm, we
so
got
that money then is what I was talking about then. Is
Right.
that, what is
I
that?
don't believe it could be used for a traffic light based on,
Okay,
my
even though that
understanding.
adds traffic into that area.
no, because it needs to be used for like trails and
Okay.
parks and
Okay.
greenways.
Perfect, just wanted to confirm that
Mhm.
that's, all right. Anything else? Any other questions for the fill-in for that?
Oh, well, I guess the only other thing was that we had passed on to you all that the planning board chair submitted her resignation.
Okay.
And so we do have another vacancy on the planning board. And then at their meeting in March, we'll swear in, then we'll swear in Paul, who was reappointed, and we'll swear in the new member, and then they'll have to determine a new chair at their meeting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Chair and vice chair.
okay,
then-
so we probably want to put out again, applications for,
Didn't we have some people
Right.
still left on the list?
I don't know.
Um,
I don't
I
know.
think we did, I nominated somebody, I think it was a young woman over here.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Well, we can put
And
it
I-
on, we can put it on the, agenda for next agenda to,
Is she here now?
Yeah.
What did you know? I wasn't here. It was my mom's birthday. Would you still like to serve on the planning board?
I hear it's all male at this point. Is that true?
not by design.
No.
Yes, they are currently.
Concerned.
So,
But yes, I would still, I mean, I offered to serve, so.
Okay.
Can we suspend the rule? Can I make a motion to suspend the rules and
Nominated?
nominate her?
You can, but we weren't prepared for that, and we talked about that clearly about, I didn't look at her application, so I put it out, we'll call a vote for it if you'd like.
So I'll make the motion to suspend the rules. Do I do it all as one motion or just
No, two.
Just suspend the rules first.
suspend the rules?
Okay, all's in favor?
Aye.
Is that a unanimous vote? To suspend the rules? Nick? Is that a unanimous in favor to suspend the rules? And, because I think they want to take a vote to bring her on as the planning board. Although I don't have her application in front of me, I know we looked at it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything in front of me.
Yeah. I nominated her last time. But they all said, still up to you, remember.
Oh, I looked at the application even though I wasn't familiar.
Yeah. Solid.
That's all. Yeah.
All right. You okay with suspending the rules? Okay. All's in favor?
All right.
As aye. Okay. Now we,
So, you want to make a motion?
Make a motion to appoint, I forgot.
Kelly Cates.
Kelly, I keep calling you Kathy. Sorry, Kelly.
It's an alliteration of tricks, yeah.
Kelly to the planning board. Effective in, I guess it would be Heather's term when that expires.
Well, she resigned effective immediately, so.
Okay, well, no, I'm saying it will be when that,
she has one more year left, I think?
No,
No,
she was just got
She was just reappointed.
March.
Just reappointed.
She got reappointed
So
on
it'd be-
March 1st.
so.
2021.
3 years.
Yeah, so
3
2021.
years.
Okay.
Further discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Nays?
Do we have a copy of it? I don't have the present.
We just talked about, you know, when if we're gonna have a meeting, we're having that stuff at least prepared somewhat in advance, and I can't remember, I know you've only been here a couple of years, right, in Marvin?
3 in Marvin.
Okay, and I wasn't sure, I can't remember the background, and I apologize, because I was looking at background.
Meadowlark?
I know you're a Meadowlark, I know that.
And we met. I think it's just
We
one
met
qualified,
too,
yeah.
yeah, we met.
I think you guys had the application last time. I gotta be honest, we don't get a lot of applications for these voluntary boards anymore. That's why I just wanted to jump on it and
That's
offer her appointment if everyone's willing.
Can you call
Leave
up
it
the
to
vet
council.
again?
Okay, so all's in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And nays?
I'm gonna say nay only because I'm not ready for tonight.
Not ready for tonight, Kim?
Did you all look at the application last?
Yeah, but I mean, that was a month ago. I don't remember.
Yeah, so,
We looked at a lot that night.
so nay? I mean, we can bring it back up in
Yeah, I mean,
next
I'd
meeting.
rather bring it back up when we
Okay.
can
Okay.
look at it and be prepared.
So a split vote, and I will vote in the nay, and then we will add it to the agenda for next month. Next month is the agenda to put on a planning
Well-
board application.
Do you want to do it for the April meeting, or the March 28th meeting, which is a joint council planning board meeting?
Yeah, can we do it then, since it's gonna
We
be
can
with
do it
planning board?
then, yeah, sure.
Sure. Thank you.
It's my duty.
Okay. So where are we at?
You should be on 6, the,
Planning board update.
7 consent agenda, right? Are
Okay,
you
7.
done,
So
Chris?
now we're at 7 consent agenda?
well, you've already done that, so
No, we haven't.
unfinished business.
No, we didn't,
Consent
we
agenda.
didn't, we didn't approve the consent agenda yet. We're not there yet. We just got a planning board update.
Okay.
So I need a
So did
motion.
Nick just make the motion to pull the minutes from it?
No, I made the motion earlier to pull some of the minutes only, so the minutes of, just to look at quickly and then fix a few things, and then we will approve them on 8I. So we're pulling all of them because there were some spelling errors and some wrong words that were put in there.
We're just moving on.
That's fine, but I
So
have
I'm-
notated that Nick made a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
Is
I
that
did
not
hear
what
that. Did you
my
say that?
recollection was?
Okay.
We did that when we,
Back in-
Yeah, because
And again-
you called for the motion at the time that you pulled the minutes. That's why I'm just asking.
Okay, so we don't have to do that again then? I assume that came up as.
No,
item
unless you
7.
want to do it again. I mean, but that's what I
Okay.
have in my notes.
I just thought we were going down that, and that was part of the adoption of the agenda. We pulled those, and when we got to the consent agenda, that's how I thought it went. But if it's different.
No, I
Okay.
just want to make sure that we're clear.
Okay.
You added to the end of 8.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
the stuff that's, okay, so we don't have to do a motion, is that correct? Just to be clear.
No, not for the consent, because you've
Okay.
already done that.
Okay, all right. So next up, we have 8A. We're back on 8. Unfinished business. A, discussion and consideration of development manual and pre-meeting process.
When you made a motion to remove me off of the consent, Joe. I thought you put me at 8A.
No, actually,
J.
J.
8J.
Jay, it sounds.
Sorry. So this is, I'm gonna read this.
So on this item, the development community process, I think that had gotten moved from the last meeting because Robert, you weren't able to be there. And so, I don't know, did you have a chance to look at that and talk to Laura?
Yeah, I talked to Laura, and she sort of asked what the main motivation was. She didn't sort of ask, she did ask. And this was old work that she was doing her best with. And you can confirm with her, but when I explained to her my, sort of the big topics, the big items on this that generated this topic was staff time, having to deal with people coming in and
Right.
that didn't do their homework first. But even if that first meeting is an attempt to do homework, they come in and they ask, okay, what's the process? That's fine, but then from there, they should go online and do their research, like a developer would, professional development. So one of the primary goals was to save staff time. The other was to save the applicant frustration. So in saying that, the way her and I left it, I said to her that I would discuss it with you a little bit. I'm totally open to just a single bullet point page.
Okay. Less than what's here.
Less than what's.
So simplifying this.
Simplify this.
Okay,
If
okay.
everyone else is good with that, I didn't mean to make it complicated. I think this was a lot of cut and paste from what we had in previous years.
Right, she was given the version,
Right.
an older version, and she was trying to edit it, and so you
She
just,
thought we wanted her to make the best out of this, and that wasn't my intent.
Okay.
My intent was for her to make her own.
okay,
She's the planner. She can tell us what she thinks it should look like,
okay.
and then if she wants us to look at it again, we will. But in my mind, we're trying to save her and you time,
Okay,
and we're trying to save the applicant frustration.
okay, okay. So we'll go, I didn't talk to her today after you talked to her, so I'll talk to her tomorrow about that. We'll revise this and put it on the next agenda.
Everyone else
This
is
is pretty
okay with
good.
that.
You like the flow
Yeah,
chart?
this is a good
Okay,
starting point, I think, to make it so, yeah.
But there has to be verbiage to go along with that, correct?
right, okay. So.
So where was all this other verbiage? That's what we had before?
Yes.
That was
this in a
struck
previous-
out?
Yeah, this was in a previous version and she was editing it and so we'll just, but we can simplify and revise and maybe try and make it be one page.
And again, I think it should come from her and you, but I did mention to her, I thought I saw it struck the number of meetings. I'd encourage you all to put a cap on meetings, but I'm not gonna.
Thought we did. I thought there were three.
Well, it
Two,
says a
three.
maximum of 3 pre-application meetings.
Right.
See, the last one I had, I thought that was struck, but if it
it's-
wasn't, that's great.
Yeah, no, it isn't struck, it's underlined, which.
It's on the back of the
yeah,
first page at the very top.
Yeah, the top of page
Okay.
2.
Yeah, you're right, Kimberly. Yeah, and again, that's your all's choice.
Okay.
But I think 3 is generous. You know, someone should be able to come in, and if they're a developer, they're looking at it before they ever knock on the door. But if there's someone who's not used to it, and I've been in those shoes, you should be able to come in and say, okay, what's the first step? And then she'll tell them, well, we have an ordinance, so she'll go to the ordinance.
Right.
And understand that it's not just as simple as you get a house break. There's lots of other criteria, and maybe you consider, you can't tell it to, maybe you consider talking to a civil engineer, which is what I eventually did,
Right.
and go from there. So,
Okay, okay, well, then she and I'll talk to this and we'll move it to the next meeting.
So we'll table it to the work session?
No, that's gonna be with planning board, so we probably wanna talk.
I think she's,
She's got a lot,
Already
does
got
have
a
a
lot
lot
on her
on her
plate,
plate.
so
Can
table
we do
to,
April 10th?
Yeah. So basically, we're cleaning up and shortening.
That's where
I thought that's what we did, quite
Okay.
frankly, when we had all that striking out, and it was just, she
Well,
was
I
trying
think
to
it
go
can
through
be
that.
simplified more.
But I just wanted to get across to her is I wasn't trying to put a round peg in a square hole and make her accept something she didn't put together.
Okay,
That wasn't my intent.
okay.
Okay. All right, so we don't need a motion for that, do I? I don't think we do. All right. Next up, 8B, review of Village Code of Ethics.
I'll start that one. When Kimberly was elected and came on, I gave her the Code of Ethics to read and to sign. And then when I went to go file that, I honestly, I'm sure all of you have signed them at one point or another, but I'm honestly just not sure where they are. And so it seemed like a good time to pass these out again and to just get everybody to reread them and re-sign them, and so that we can have a current version on file, because just as a matter of housekeeping.
So homework.
Yeah.
Really, homework, I mean, I don't know, did you get a chance to read it at all?
I'll read it and I'll drop it off.
Okay,
I don't
thank
have to
you.
wait till the next meeting, I'll bring it back.
I think this is a good time to talk about one of the sections that I think is really important. It's integrity and independence, and in that it says that we need to be treating other board members, other employees, and the public with respect, honoring the opinions of others, even when the board members disagree with those opinions. And we have to hold each other accountable. So with that being said, I'm really disappointed in hearing from neighbors and friends about an email they received from Robert about Joe, Nick, and myself. It was really disheartening to read the letter, see the inaccuracies and insinuations, especially after you, Robert, said that we're gonna be working together for the next 4 years.
You talking about the email I sent out,
Yeah, can I-
updating everyone on you
yeah, can I
guys
finish?
hiring the administrator
Can I-
at the first meeting?
Can I
That
finish,
was all
please?
factual.
Can I finish, please?
That all happened.
Robert, let her
And then when I got out of that meeting, I received a copy of the email. I want to highlight some of those inaccuracies written and clarify points referenced in the email written on January 9th, 2018. There are more, but here are a few. Paragraph 5, it's being insinuated that the regular open session meeting was not being recorded. The administrator at the time should have been recording the meeting. For the record, it was the closed session meetings that we don't record, but open session should have been, and that should have been done by the administrator at the time. In paragraph 6, regarding the statement made about, quote,
Well,
not
it's
being
still one at a
required.
time, because the recording,
Okay, let me
It was
finish.
just a
No,
facet.
Robert,
let me
we'll
finish.
finish. You can
Let me
address it.
finish.
this is piggybacking
Um,
on an item that isn't even on the.
Robert,
It's,
Robert,
it's
she
in the
has the
code
floor,
of,
please.
in code of ethics. So by not being required, end quote, to tape meetings, both Joe and Nick were referring to closed session, not open session. In paragraph 8, the Village Hall statement, I'm still not sure who the quote-unquote developer friends are, and I would think that council as a whole should explore all viable options. Paragraph 9, if anyone does have a recording of the meeting, I too would like it, since our administrator at the time didn't record it. Paragraph 3 and 11, let me be clear and state on the record again, I have no private agenda, nor do I have any financial interest or gain in developing the downtown area. I've stated this in the past when these lies were told, and I'm done hearing about it. I don't have anything to hide. Let's go to the Board of Elections, the State Bureau of Investigation, and have them investigate. Again, I don't have anything to hide. Does anybody else? This needs to be the end of this conversation. And even though you used your personal email, Robert, to send this email, you conducted village business, and I would like to formally request a list of names and email addresses you sent this out to. And I'd also like to request an email sent out correcting these falsehoods. I heard all this nonsense during the campaign. There's a big difference between campaigning and governing. It's time for us to govern and move the business of the village forward. And I don't want to hear any more about this financial interest business.
In the email, did I say, are you done?
Yes, I'm finished.
In the email, or on my website, did I say that you have financial interests?
Yes.
Show me. I said Kimberly has financial interests.
You said that you were
No.
insinuating that the three of
Find
us. That's an insinuation.
Find it.
Are you saying that
It's
we,
an
Nick and I did?
insinuation.
Or are you saying I did?
I didn't say any of you did. I just asked her to
I
find it.
think you can
There's
read the
email.
A private agenda to develop the downtown district? That's the private agenda, financial interest. It's an insinuation. I have a copy of it if everybody would like it.
Oh, you're welcome to pass it out. The more the merrier.
Oh, sure.
The,
Want it on the record?
Yeah, sure.
So you sent this on your personal email?
I did.
Yep.
Right. So we got wind of it and stuff. And again, I might remind you that Kim was in here trying to give you an olive branch on that first meeting when 2 hours earlier you sent this email out, basically kind of throwing us under the bus, talking about us
Can I say
in a
about
sense,
the other
about the meetings not being recorded. By the way, and I have multiple witnesses that were here on that meeting, and that was in the swearing-in meeting, I believe, or was it not? Was it a different
Yep.
meeting?
Nope, it was
It
that
was a
meeting.
swearing-in meeting. That I specifically asked the administrator at the time if she was recording, and I did get an affirmative from her. There were multiple witnesses on that, and because there were numerous people here to see the swearing-in, so for whatever reason, it was not recorded. And then you went into talking about how we were not recording meetings, and we are not, and correct me if I'm wrong, Melanie, we are not required to record. In fact, they strongly recommend against recording anything in closed session. Is that correct?
They, I'm not sure who you refer to as they, but there's no legal requirement to record closed session.
Okay.
That's correct.
So-
You just need to take minutes.
Right. So, and usually those minutes, if you do record it, my understanding was that after the minutes are approved, then the
You're supposed to
recording is
destroy the
supposed to be
recording.
destroyed anyways.
Correct.
Okay. But we did not take minutes on the closed session, but we weren't required to, correct?
We've been taking,
Minutes are always taken on.
I thought it was my time to respond.
Well,
You jumped in.
Well, no. I mean, I asked, but you
responding.
stopped talking, but go ahead. Feel free. You got the floor.
For the past 10 years, we've recorded open and closed session meetings. Yes, we have.
No, we haven't.
No.
Absolutely not.
We've
You
never
guys
recorded.
said adamantly at that meeting and the next day that we weren't required to record. My
Right.
email says you chose not to. We're supposed to. We've been recording forever.
That's not true.
That's
Well,
not
let me
true.
ask you this, Melanie. Were you not asked by another attorney to hold on to those recordings?
Of the closed session?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, because if something happens and there's a legal claim or an action made, either the person that was discussed in the closed session or the judge can review those recordings, yes or no?
A judge can review them in chambers, correct?
So if you know something's going on, which I made clear to you guys, that what you were doing was wrong and that there would probably be
What were we
action.
doing wrong?
Firing Mary Scoot.
Oh, okay.
When you fired her without cause, the first night you guys gained control, that was wrong. And then we go into closed session and it's not being recorded, okay? The next day I said, I found out it wasn't recorded and I was upset and I said, why not? We've always recorded them and you guys said it's not required. That was your answer and your answer. I don't think that's a good answer when we had two recorders right in the other room.
Can I just-
So, no, it's my time, it's my
You
time.
keep saying something.
It's
I'm
my
just gonna correct
time.
you.
Okay.
No,
Well,
so.
Let it have the floor, Nick.
We
Just hold on to that
We
thought.
record them in case. We record them for minutes. In this case, an attorney has asked that we hold on to those. So if we had destroyed them,
Wait a minute. Attorney has asked to hold on to what? Something we didn't have?
did an attorney ask that we hold on to?
The recording from, was it December 13th? The following day, you asked that it be recorded. It was recorded,
Yeah.
and then, yes, we got a request to keep it, which we have.
The recording re-recorded, which is open
Which if
session.
we destroyed it,
No, Robert made a request to record the closed session the following day when we met at
Okay.
10:30.
So we kept that.
Yes. He
and
gave it
since
to
then,
me
an
and then I
attorney
gave
has
it.
asked
So-
for that.
No,
No.
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 Okay. Well, those are there to protect both the village and residents. And I don't understand why you guys would be against them. Would you like to shut the recorder off now?
No. We never,
You
we
talk
never
about
did.
transparency all the time. So
Absolutely.
whether it's open or closed, why aren't we recording the meetings and putting them online?
Unless it's-
I said a lot of stupid stuff that night. I was upset and I swore.
Right.
But I am perfectly comfortable with the public hearing it because it's the right thing to
Okay,
do.
Ron.
I'm gonna let Nick have the floor.
I've been on this council 10 years, and Ron, you've been on it a long time too.
Yeah.
We have never recorded a closed session meeting, and you know that to be
So I can show you some tapes that we had.
Well,
Not so specifically, but we have. It's
Well, we
That's how
always-
You're
no,
supposed to
we've
destroy
never-
that once the minutes are
Chris,
approved.
did Melanie
As a practice.
Graham
we've never
used to
recorded.
record closed
a
session?
lot.
Hold on. Here's our interim administrator,
Yeah.
finance officer, it's been here for years. Did Melanie Graham record closed session?
Honestly, I don't know the answer to that.
She did the meetings off of it. That's how the minutes were
Yeah.
done.
No,
I don't know the answer.
She
to
did the
that.
minutes off of recordings. No, they weren't.
Not
She recorded them. Yes, she did.
regular board meetings. Robert, I can tell you. I think
Anyway,
some
so
were,
if you
some
guys
were
are
recorded,
against recording
but the whole
meetings-
point, I think, hold on one second, the whole point is, we are not required to,
No.
hold on, we are
Required
required
doesn't
to
make
make
it right.
minutes for, I understand that, but we are not required, nor are we required to give a reason why, Ms. Scoot was let go. Correct?
Are we required to give a reason why Mr.
Right.
was let go?
Yes. Are we?
I think you should.
No, are we required?
Ask your attorney.
I think you know the answer to that.
But we're talking about recordings. What's that have to do with letting Mary
So
go?
all we're saying
Past
is,
the point of recording.
my point
the
is,
actual
we
session.
asked, you were implying in this letter, first of all, in my opinion as well, we came back to it again.
So a letter I sent
So,
to friends
excuse me,
that you guys
excuse
got
me.
hold of.
Excuse me, Robert, I think I have the
When
floor.
do I get to
Well,
comment on what
well-
Kimberly said? Because you're just
You have
going
the
off
floor.
on a diatribe.
And you're not.
I was hitting an item by item, Joe.
Okay, let's go through the items
So
then.
did you or did you
I've
not
got time
appoint
for this.
Lavelle? That was my first paragraph.
What's that?
Very first meeting, you appointed Michael Lavelle. to planning
Absolutely,
board,
yep.
Despite
I
conflict of
did.
interest. and
I
put
did,
it-
right?
I
I
put
did.
right
It was
there.
just me, right?
No,
It
you
was,
guys.
no, I did. That's what
You
you said,
appointed
right?
Mayor?
This was their councilman. Immediate appointment, Mayor Polino's commercial
Mayor Joe
defender.
Polino,
Okay.
Kimberly Vandenberg, and Nick Spincieri immediately
Okay.
appointed Mayor
Who was
Polino's
appointed
commercial
earlier, and you
developer
guys
plan.
let go for no reason, right? Is that correct? Correcting the record. You guys let go for no reason. No reason, you just
For
let
a
go.
conflict, because he
No,
said
he
he
didn't
wanted to
have
develop the downtown area.
No, you're
And
wrong.
it's on recording. Thank you for
There's a
Moved into
tape,
closed session.
there's a tape of him saying
you can
that,
go
so you
into-
better be careful
then-
what
then-
you
You
say.
guys
Right.
wanted to go down this path. I thought we were hitting.
We are trying to, but we're trying to set the
So
record
then we
straight
went into
about
closed
these
session.
implications.
You moved to go into closed session, the fire administrator, fact. These moves are actions designed to private agenda. You three are all over developing this downtown area.
No,
It's in the current land use plan to do a master plan to have
Why
light
aren't we
commercial
proceeding with the
development here.
village hall in the corner then?
What do you mean?
Why aren't we building the village hall in the corner like we talked about? Why are you now looking at the property on the corner?
Well, we
To
can talk,
purchase
we
it.
that
we
wasn't,
can talk
that
about
was,
that
we'll talk
at
about
the
that,
Village
and that's
Hall.
gonna come up when we talk about Village Hall. But that wasn't in play back then, correct? That wasn't in,
Was it for
that,
sale?
yeah, that place wasn't in play back at that point.
But why would you spend $1.5 million on a house?
$1.5 million?
By the time you renovate it, it's listed
That's-
for $1 million.
That's not
See,
even.
Ron, you
in this
Rather than
ordinance.
build on the.
Come on.
Let me tap that down a little bit. Both of you who have not even, were invited to go over there and look at the property,
I've seen it.
have declined invitations. We not only took council members, we also brought staff after work and showed them the property to see if it could work. And they looked at it as well. So how you can sit here and talk to us about what that is, we'll get into that, I promise. It's on the agenda, and I'd love to talk to you.
We promised
And-
residents a meeting place
We-
where they could hold meetings.
I
We could
did.
have a real meeting hall. That's a
The
house.
former council promised to do that. We're not saying that's out of the picture yet, okay?
Former council promised.
Former council promised
So
that
it's
that's
no
what
longer
it's-
on.
No,
so
I'm
building
just
the
saying,
village hall
I
in
did
Corners
not
is no
say
longer on
that.
the table.
I did not say that.
Impossible.
You're putting words in my mouth right now. Because we're taking a look at this, a serious look at this for a potential town hall. Okay, now Weddington has a town hall that they converted a house. Tomorrow I'm going to a meeting to see how you actually, and I invited all of you guys, if you hadn't figured that out, how you actually convert something like a house into a place. They essentially, this is a house, but certainly not enough. And that's why we felt it was important as council members, and you all were invited, you chose as a council member not to even look at it. So Ron, you flat out declined her invitation to go see it. So how you can talk about what the benefits are there.
Joe, I looked at 28 properties last time we went to park, so don't tell me I declined. She came
You
and said she
declined
wanted to-
looking at
I
it.
didn't want to see it. I had something to do that
And
day.
that, okay, well, now that you had something to
My
do.
whole life doesn't revolve around you, Joe.
No,
When you
it
wanna have
doesn't.
special
Ron, don't
meetings-
check, please don't try
No,
to
I'm
change the
talking
subject.
now, Joe.
Okay,
When
so
it
you have
says
the floor.
discussion, it doesn't mean consideration and
Right.
discussion.
So we
You're
had
talking
that,
to this lawyer
we
when it
had
says
that,
discussion.
we had that at the
How can we
meeting
go
that
from
you chose to
discussion
miss.
and then, yeah, I chose to, because it was an illegal meeting, Joe.
Oh, so,
I think the purpose of this is to make sure
Illegal meeting,
everyone
Joe.
communicates in these meetings with respect towards each
Well,
other.
I'm trying to have
And this
respect.
discussion is a prime example of why.
exactly, so,
Everybody
So,
needs to
wait,
sign
wait,
Why
that.
was it used as
Finish.
an opportunity to bring up a private email?
Be,
Yeah.
it's
well,
not a
it's not
private
private.
email.
You got sent out.
You
You
used
sent it
it.
to me.
Yes.
I didn't send it to you.
Yeah, you did. You forwarded it to me after Chip asked you to.
Chip, eh?
Oh, yeah. And,
Your friend might have sent it to you, but I didn't send it to you.
So you sent it and you're talking about, public or business of the village. You're actually talking about
In order to maintain
which,
village
now hold on a second,
transparency,
excuse me, I have the floor. In order, you were using your private email to talk about, implying that we were doing all these wrongs, talking about business that we
You
did.
keep
So
saying the
which,
word implying.
excuse me.
It's black and white. What I
No,
wrote is right
excuse me.
here.
Okay, so it's in there. So what we are saying is, we want to correct the record for all those people that you sent that email to. So we're asking, because we can, ask for a, what is the form? Public information form of all the people, recipients of this email that you sent, because this.
It's a private email.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
Not when you use it.
This did not move village business forward.
It
Correct.
doesn't
It's a
have to.
private
It's talking about
It's
village
not
business.
about moving any business forward.
Is it a private email or not?
No, this is not private. This is all about village business. Private would be going to your kid's basketball game or whatever the case may be.
You're talking about that. You're talking about village business in here, and you're kind of, in a sense, doing what you did during the campaign, smearing all of us again and stuff, which goes back to Kim's point.
Every paragraph is
Why
accurate.
no, it
no, it's
isn't.
not.
Yeah.
Ron, I can't,
No, it's not.
Robert, I can't tell you
And as
enough.
far as me going into that house, I was here when they remodeled it. The guy I worked with did the remodel. I've been under that house. I've been in that house.
Okay.
Paul Carr invited me there before they remodeled it and
Okay.
after. I've
Okay.
seen that house in and out.
And then, good, so you know about the house. Ron does not. But we had
But
a
you
meeting,
said I
hold on a
did.
second, okay.
We're talking about things that are just thrown
Well,
out
you
there.
you could have discussed it with an individual council member. You weren't looking at it when you were at that house. You weren't looking at it as a potential,
I had coffee with Kimberly to discuss it. I was
Okay.
open-minded about it.
and so you're a no on it, I'm saying. That's fine. But we actually had a meeting.
I'm a no on it. My point is-
We actually had a meeting and we talked about
You're
it at the,
saying I'm implying things
excuse me, I
here.
think I have the floor. We had a meeting on Friday, which you both declined to come. It was a legal meeting.
It
We
was
had.
an illegal meeting.
Okay.
Did
Okay,
we
I-
determine,
I-
hold on a second, hold on, I still have the floor.
Yeah, okay.
I still have the
Go
floor,
ahead,
please
Joe.
respect that.
Joe.
Did we determine it was a legal meeting?
It was legal, yes, it was legal.
Okay,
It
so
was
you
not
showed,
legal.
All right, no, I got.
I don't know what attorney you're using, but
Well,
it's,
I
apparently
agree
we're
with
hiring
any
other
time,
attorneys.
But it wasn't, the time was not posted, and we're required to post the time. It was a simple mistake. I didn't blame anybody.
I'm not gonna argue legal
I
matters
just said, let's do it
with
another
you. She
time.
is right here. I'm not gonna argue with you.
She,
When he's done,
she
I'll
can be
leave.
wrong too.
Are you an attorney?
No, no, no.
Are you able to make this determination?
Okay, can I?
Are you able to make this determination or not?
Okay.
General statutes are written for the public, not just attorneys.
I understand that, and we walked through what had happened, and
She
we had
sent a
determined
clip
while
of
we
the
were here.
general statute,
Here,
one of them.
let me give her the statute, and let me say something about meeting.
How is this related
It's
to the
not.
code of ethics?
It's
I'm
not.
happy to
It's
discuss
Talking
this,
about it
but
was a meeting.
Well,
Well,
saying it was a legal
We
meeting.
in
need to
fairness,
stay
we
to
got
the
off
agenda.
track. We stay on the agenda because we can bring that up about, because we'll talk about that particular thing. But again, going back to the letter, we'll get back to the question of, is your email that you sent that's on the personal email account, is it business? We have understand that it is, and all we're asking is the recipients so we can give us a chance to correct the record, because before we send out letters as council, it is always my understanding that we get consensus of what letter we're going out. Why did I just type up this for you guys all to read to get consensus that we're gonna send it out to the HOAs? We're gonna get a consensus and we're gonna vote on it.
HOAs, Joe, already, so
No,
you're
no.
undercutting us.
There's nothing wrong with going to a meeting, Ron. Let me
No.
just make that clear, okay? There's nothing wrong with going to a meeting and anyone coming from that.
Capital.
Yes.
All right. Well, first of all, let's try and do a little bit of thing, one person at a time, please.
Yeah.
You know, we get their say, then the next person.
Yeah,
may have
I'm
to
fine
say.
with that, but
Let's
Joe
not
jumps
keep-
in.
Well, you don't respect
Somebody else
Then
talking.
let's not, well, both of us,
Yeah.
with all of us.
Well, yeah.
Nobody jumping in on the next person, all right? So who's speaking now?
I will.
Go ahead, Rob.
So here it says, the next day, we reconvene the council meeting at 10:30 a.m., accurate. When I asked where the recorder was, Mayor Polino and Councilman Nick Fitzgerald conveyed that no one had recorded the meeting and that the village was not required to record meetings. You guys said that, you said it again tonight. Mayor Polino talks about transparency when he needs votes, but does not practice it.
So the meeting,
I stand by that comment. If we're not gonna record the stuff so that this person can go online and listen, or this person can go online and listen.
But we're talking, you're
well,
talking
all
about,
right,
It's the first time
Kim,
in
look,
years that we didn't record a meeting.
but we're not gonna put
Yeah,
closed
look.
session.
hold on.
There's a difference between recording open sessions and closed sessions. There's no legal requirement to record closed sessions. And once the minutes are approved, you have to destroy closed sessions. So I think it's confusing as to whether or not it's, the
Are we
meeting
just-
you're referring to is open or closed, because they're two completely different
Since
standards.
you know there's litigation coming, the closed session.
How do we know there's
Well, we
litigation
don't.
coming?
Yeah,
I've
we
not
don't.
once gotten
Right,
any
everybody.
information about any litigation. In fact, I talked to the person you're talking about Saturday night and said, there's nothing.
Well, here I said
Saturday night.
at 10:30 when we started the meeting, is it closed session the moment we walk in the door?
No, someone has to make a motion to
So
go
we're,
into
are
closed
we in
session.
open session when we walk in the door?
Not
When we
until
start the
someone
meeting?
opens the meeting.
So then it's an open meeting.
Correct.
Should the
Once there's a
recorder
motion
be
to open it.
recording when that happens?
Yes, when it's an
Okay.
open meeting.
At 10:30, when we started the meeting, I asked where the recorder was. Is that not making sense to you? It was open session.
I was here. I was here.
We went right into closed session, didn't we?
No, we have to open.
You have to open. and
Okay,
then you
right,
go on-
right. You
So
open and
why
then you go
wouldn't
to
we
closed session.
record that? It's open, and then we go into closed. And if you're saying we don't record it, that's your opinion. And then we come out of closed session. Okay, in this particular meeting, we came out of closed session. Into what? Open session. So if I had not asked for that meeting to be recorded, a recording would not exist. Now Kimberly blamed the previous night on the administrator. The administrator was not at the 10:30 meeting the next day. It was Nick and Joe that said we were not required to record the meetings. There was an open session before closed session, then there was closed session, then there was a lengthy open session, all of which I have the recordings of because I did a public records request.
Because there was
If
recording.
I had not insisted that it be recorded, which is what this email says, it would not exist. They were not gonna record
Remember,
it.
we did not have a clerk, we did not have an administrator, so someone has to say,
I
let's
have two
record it.
experienced council
And-
people standing
But
there
it was recorded, right?
because I asked, which is what the email says.
And.
It's exactly what the email says.
Now, my recollection is that you requested that we record the closed session.
Yes.
And we said,
Yes.
we don't record, normally we don't record closed sessions. Not open session, we don't say anything about it, but you're making it sound like we're saying that we don't record
At
meetings.
10:30, when we
You know,
started the meeting, you said it's not required
To record a closed session.
because you considered the whole thing closed
No.
session,
No, we
but it
didn't.
wasn't.
No?
So tell me, who brought the recorder? Where was the recorder? Who went and got the recorder?
There was no clerk and no thing. Did you have that recorder? Did you use it? I think we were showing someone how to use it at that point in the morning, correct?
But the open session was recorded.
Yes.
Because I requested it as the email suggested.
So, but again, you're implying also in
You guys
here,
said at 10:30 we didn't need to record.
No, so we
we
don't
said
need to
the
record
closed session
closed
you don't
session.
need. We were
Had I not
specific.
brought it up and never been recorded, which is what the email says.
So let's, so in other words,
That
may
email
I,
is not-
Nick,
So
May I just point out that we're wanting to correct the record, that we were specific, Nick and I were specific about we do not record closed sessions. You're making it imply that we're trying to be non-transparent by not recording things. We've recorded everything. In fact, again, I asked if the first meeting was going to be recorded, and all of a sudden those tapes are lost. Goes back to the point, she's not here, she was asking where those recordings were. So we assume as council members that sit down and you have an administrator here that they're going to require it, especially if they say in the affirmative that they were going to be recording that. The next meeting, we were specific about that. This implies that we record everything, and that's just not true.
We always have.
Again, you're wrong. I respectfully, I think, because I've been on council longer than you, and I promise you, those council meetings, if we had a clerk in there, there were times where they didn't, they just took notes, and then the notes were approved through another meeting on closed session. We all got to look at them. They weren't sent out to us.
Yeah, that was 8, 9 years ago.
So if I may, Nick, go on. It says,
Dominating now.
no, if I'm,
Go ahead.
okay, so if I may continue, you say in there, I argue that such aggressive moves were motivated by Mayor Polino's desire to move the Village Hall off our village property and help his developer friends in order to develop a downtown. That is not true. Please.
I said that in the meeting. This is me quoting the meeting. In the meeting.
But it doesn't say that. You are included. You are.
I argued in the meeting. Yeah. An open meeting. I said these words, Joe. I just highlighted them in an email.
So again,
you would know.
Whether it's in a recording, it goes back to where she's going is show some respect. We can disagree on
some respect.
Robert. Yes, it goes both ways. Please, I am telling you, I blew in my face and saying there is no financial interest. I've told you, but you continue in open session. What's the difference in me in open session saying that you have shady business practices personally? That's on you. It's personal. It's a personal attack on you, just like what you're saying is a personal attack on me. I have nothing to do with any of the downtown quarter or any developers. There's no phone calls. There's no text that we're planning or scheming anything. But you're still in campaign mode. She threw you an olive branch the first meeting, not knowing that 2 hours before you sent this.
What olive branch?
The olive branch when you asked to reconsider interviewing more clerks instead of bringing back Barbie back, okay? You asked that, very clear, yeah, you did. You asked to interview, you asked to open it up.
Someone said I was laughing.
We were moving forward with bringing Barbie back.
I did.
You said we didn't interview enough. She said, you know what? Then let's open it back up. Then we get home and we see this full of lies and we're like, you know what? He doesn't really want to work with us. I mean, what you're saying is absolutely...
This is what happened in the meeting.
Robert, whether you're saying it in a meeting or not, they're lies is what we're saying, which goes back to what she's saying in the respect. The respect that we have, we can disagree that maybe I don't think Town Hall belongs on that corridor. In the end, 99% chance it's going to go there, okay? But I'm going to explore all other opportunities. And now that we have 2 other council members, and you guys don't agree, but we have 2 others, and I'm the same. Now we're going to explore other things. You have to accept that. Don't just assume that any council member who disagrees with you has some sort of an agenda and some sort of financial interest. I'm telling you, we don't. And it's demeaning towards me, and it's basically saying that I have. You're basically calling me out saying that I'm a liar, number 1, and number 2, that I actually have financial interest. I can tell you there are none. I don't know how many times I have. So I'm asking you, if you have such convincing knowledge of this, then prove it. Prove it. Please show me where it is. I mean, I'll show you. And if anyone has any financial interest, it's you. Because the only financial interest I have in Marvin is my house. Okay? You have a whole development. You have a house. You have a whole development. I'm not working on any developments. My point is what he's
Is that
saying
why you
about me.
pulled me off the consent
No,
agenda?
it
when
is
it's never
not.
been
No,
done before?
we haven't got there yet.
We've never pulled off
We,
bond agreements when it was.
I have a
reviewed by an
question.
engineer.
I have a question that was brought
Oh,
up.
we got Joe. Give Robert a chance.
Okay.
Is that why you pulled me on? Because that's not fair.
No. Do you want me to answer? No. That is not why I pulled you off. In fact, I just have a quick question, and then you're going to go back right on, and I'm almost positive that's going to get approved, and we're going to reduce it. I just have a question.
So this was a summary of the meetings, all right? There's no standalone allegations in here. Everything we said in the meetings, I said, we argued over. Most of these people weren't here. We were foaming at the mouth at times, agreed? It was a bad
Yeah,
meeting.
absolutely.
And the reason it was a bad meeting, olive branch or no olive branch, you guys came to the meeting prepared to do certain things. There was no real discussion. You fired the administrator, yes. You brought on Michael LaBelle, who did say, and I'm trying to say this
It's all
calmly.
public record. Whatever he said, he's saying out
He
there.
wouldn't develop this area, and you put him on the planning board.
No.
He was-
You're. Excuse me. May I talk? May I interrupt?
Yeah, go ahead.
You are mixing up the dates. Okay. He initially said, "Hey, if they're going to do something like that, I might be interested in it." Then, and I've always told Michael from the get-go, if you have one nickel touch this, you need to recuse yourself because he was always questioning and stuff. He did that in a planning board meeting. He did recuse himself, or not recuse himself, saying, "You know what? I thought about it, and then I decided I'm not going to touch this." So he was not going to touch that. Okay, that's the truth.
Couple seconds. The point I want to make here is Michael didn't invest any money. He said he didn't. What he did say is then he stepped back and he tried to influence the board for 3 more meetings. That's the conflict of interest. You can't just say, I'm not investing, and go and try, the people on the board
He has an opinion.
were concerned.
It's an opinion.
No, he's trying to convince the people that on something that was the conflict.
That's
Joe?
not true. That's not
No, that's exactly.
That's not true.
Joe, for the people on this council, including Nick,
No,
including
that's
Robert,
not true.
including
And so
Rob.
that had nothing to do with you.
I understand
I
that.
know, but
I
you're
understand.
very
I
defensive
understand
of your
that.
friend, and I'm fine with that.
No,
But
I'm
there's
just
issues
being
here.
lumped in to all developers. Anyone I call or had a
Issues.
phone call with, that I have some things, and
Okay.
you've.
For me, it was as simple
Yeah.
as,
You-
there was a conflict. And instead of letting it go, if you had just let it go, you wouldn't be involved in it at all. But there was a conflict. He said he wanted to develop the downtown, and he's on the planning board.
Right.
That's not right.
No. He was on the planning board before, and then we're talking about the development. He expressed
said-
interest.
He
in it.
said it hadn't got to the point, he said it was starting getting, I don't know his exact words, but it's starting to get to the point where I may consider developing. He said developing. And then when, in the meeting, when you were never part of that. It was him. That was him.
Okay. I wasn't at that meeting.
Part
he
of
said.
it was when you kept trying to argue the point, because he loosely said 80% of planning board wasn't comfortable, which is 4 out of 5 for the record, which I get that you don't agree with because you talked to him.
That's a
I know.
lie. That's a lie.
But the fact that
That's a lie. Because I actually called the
I
planning
know,
board
but you're
member.
making my point for me.
Yeah.
You couldn't let it go. It went on for months that you couldn't let it go. So at what point is it no longer, I'm trying to just help a resident get back on planning board, and does it start to look forced?
Yeah, no, it wasn't forced,
was
and
months.
again, what you were learning is from untruths from Councilman Salameo, who said he talked to 80% of the planning board, which I actually interviewed most of the planning board, less Ms. Scoot, and determined that he was nowhere near 80%. So he actually lied in a session. But let me point out the last. Hold on.
But it was
Go ahead.
council.
Only a liar.
One respond to them.
Go ahead.
Yeah, a liar, okay. Miss Scoot, Jennifer Schlatten, chairman and vice chairman, both talked to me about issues.
That's okay. I know so many people. No, I talked to Paul.
So did I talk to Paul?
Yeah.
That's
wrong.
one person.
So, but
Go ahead.
Paul's like, I don't want to get in the middle between, the mayor calls me and says, this is my friend, did this happen? Rich Holzberg, my neighbor.
That's not what happened.
It's the same thing, Joe.
That's
You
not
can't
how it
call him and
happened.
say,
That's not what
how do you feel about this? And he says, I wasn't going to go against the mayor. He's the mayor. I respect him. I said, well, I know him differently. I said, well, I'll go from there. So Joe, it was 4 out of 5. We can bring them in and put them under oath, and you'd be shocked, buddy.
All right. So at the end of the day, if I can speak, the end of the day, I did not approach it like that because you weren't in that conversation, and I'd be happy to have anyone. But that's aside from the point. But if we get back to the last comment that you made, lastly, this is what you're saying to this. This is a letter essentially that is coming from a councilman on his personal, talking about business of the village. Lastly, if you know anything that would help prove that these folks or other developers in the area have been working together to advance this commercial development agenda or any other agenda that is not in the village's best interest, please feel free to reach out to me at any time and let me know. Have you gotten any calls? Have you gotten any calls?
Actually, yeah.
Oh, really? Do you want to share them? Because I'd like to at least be able to defend myself.
I haven't made any additional accusations. If I
I
make an
know, but-
accusation, I'll let you know.
Okay, but my whole point is
But
it
this
gets back
in
to
the
what...
village's- I did what I thought was in the village's best interest, okay? You know, if you know anything.
It's village
let me
business.
know.
You agree? Village business. You did what, you just said it. You did what you thought was in the village's best interest as a council member, and you used this, so we are asking for you to disclose those recipients, because
It was-
we may want to write
It
a
was
retraction
every
letter.
single resident in the village.
Every single
So send it
resident.
to all of them.
So we'd like to see that. We're
How do you want
asking
me
for
to
a
show it to
formal
you?
request. We'll get the email. It's on the sunshine list? How did you get the sunshine list, Robert? What are you doing with the sunshine? You have the sunshine list. How did you
Since
get
John
it?
was the mayor, he gave it to
You
us.
should not have the sunshine
Yeah,
list. You know that, right?
What are you talking about?
No, you,
It's public knowledge.
no, it is not.
Yes, it is.
No, it is not,
Okay.
Ron. That sunshine list, when people bring in their email, that's not for council to use, that's not to be used in an election, that's not for any of us to use that sunshine list.
Okay, that's your opinion.
No, it isn't. Would you agree with that? If we have a list that is privy to this, this village, do we have the right, me as an individual, to access, like say if it's public, then it's public to everyone. You mean, you tell me
It became
we can
public
come
when it
in,
was
I'm
sent
asking
out.
the
Let him
attorney.
talk.
I'm asking the attorney.
I haven't researched this.
Yeah.
I assume if you did a public records request,
Yeah.
you would get the names of all the addresses, but I don't think you can.
Addresses.
You'd have to create your own.
Right.
We're talking emails.
Right.
How did we get
email
emails?
addresses?
How did we get email lists? No, people don't just give those up. In fact, I talked
they
to
do.
someone.
I did,
Well,
when I first ran
and
in
you did,
2009,
and
I asked,
you,
and our staff gave it to us, Chris.
no.
I'm sorry.
It was a
Yeah,
step.
It doesn't,
Like you, I'm
doesn't make it right. Maybe that's
Well,
for you to research, but I will tell you, if you want to say whatever it is, because I know you have your own list too, and you want to talk to someone, we'd just like to request that list, is what we're
If
asking.
you want to send out
It's a
your own
public
letter, send it
request.
to everyone.
No, we're gonna
You're
ask
covered.
for your public, this is a public request for your
At this
information.
point,
If it's everyone, what do you want?
Didn't go to everyone, I didn't get it.
No, here's the funny thing. Magically, the sunshine list was gone when we got in here, and we finally started bringing Barbie back and Chris back and saying, okay, well, why don't we go to the sunshine list of things? Guess what? All the
It's not something you
emails,
remove.
all the
It's not a
emails
box.
were dumped. Okay? Yes, they
That has
were.
nothing to do with me. Is this,
Okay. That's nothing to do with you, but I guarantee all
all
of
right,
this
well,
was
let me
dumped.
just ask this of our attorney. Is he required to provide us with the list that he used?
Yes.
Legally he's required because it was done, village,
If it's done on
village
the
business.
form that we,
We have a form here.
yeah.
And if it's doing village business, even if it's on a private computer or whatever, it's required.
It's a-
to be
yeah, it's a
provided
public
in the
record.
list.
so who filled out the form?
I did.
So submit it to me, and when I get to it, I'll try and.
I believe it also says if you read the things that you will get to this right away. Read through, when you get a chance to read this
Public
thing.
records
Yes,
requests.
no, public
Chris, how
records
were some of the
requests.
ones we had
Actually,
given
it
out?
says, you're held to a higher standard as an elected official. And it actually says in here that you need to make every effort to do it very quickly.
Joe, I'll review it with
So
my
please
attorney,
review it.
And I'll get back to the village.
Well,
Can we move on?
Yeah,
absolutely.
got a whole agenda here.
I agree. All right, so next up we have Discussion and consideration allowing council to participate in the Village of Marvin's healthcare plan at no cost to the village. Council shall pass a resolution reflecting their approval to participate. So you have that, Chris?
I just had a follow-up, which I sent to you all. It was part of the packet. I was asked at the last meeting to find out how our rates were determined, to see if allowing elected officials to participate in the plan would have an impact on our rates. And as described in the memo, what I found out is that we're in a group size of 1 to 14 people. The next group is 15 to 49, and that our rates are then based on the age and sex mix of the group participants. And the rates are blended so that each of our participants pays the same rate. And that I was told that if you added very elderly participants, that could have negative implications on our rate, but that generally adding people in the normal working age range would not negatively impact our rates. What I was told is that there are some towns and counties out there where their council members are in their 80s and 90s, and that kind of an age would have a negative implication, but generally the age range of our council right now would not. However, our council members can change, as you all know, at any time. So that was the first thing that she said. We did follow up to find out if other municipalities in Union County allowed elected officials to participate. Monroe responded that they do, and the premium is paid by those who participate. Several other municipalities replied that they didn't provide this option, and there were a few that didn't respond. Today, Melanie gave me something that was provided to her today, and I have a copy that I can send out to all of you. But it was from a survey, and there was a question that said, are elected officials allowed to participate in the following benefits? And for our range, which is between 5,000 and 9,999 people, 8 of the towns do allow participation by elected officials. In 3 cases, the city pays the premium. In 2 cases, the premium is split between the 2, and in 3 cases, the official pays the premium. So it's kind of split. But that was 8 out of 28 towns said yes, they do. The others said no, they don't allow
About a
it.
third.
Is that by people, is that by size of your tax base? Because our tax base is 5 cents. A lot of those towns are probably a lot larger.
I think this was by population.
Yeah, it's all divided by population is how they listed the towns and counties, or towns, I guess.
I think if I'm not mistaken, the original thought was that if we did allow an elected official to participate, he would pick up the full price.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
We're not picking up any of the
No.
costs, I mean.
Right.
So.
And the
yeah,
only,
I don't really, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't right now, but I don't know if it's going to affect us somewhere down the line. Because someone's paying for cost. So this group, I won't use it. Would you use it?
No.
Would you use it, Robert?
No.
Would you
You
use it,
were,
Joe?
I could possibly. It could possibly.
How about you? Would you use it?
Kim? Me?
Yeah, yeah,
No.
that's your name, right? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
I
no.
got it.
Yeah, and Robert, I think when I mentioned it, and we were talking with Chris on this, you actually brought it up a year ago before I believe you mentioned your wife, that you were interested in if that could happen. And I didn't know that, and all I said, well, okay, so the way I look at this, if there's no cost to the village and a council member was willing to pay for the full cost of this, I looked at it as opening up the doors for individuals like yourself, or maybe mine, that are self-employed, and if you look at the cost of healthcare now, and all you're doing is joining a group to get that group discount to be able to participate in something in it. So that I believe would open up the field for maybe more people who may want to get interested in becoming a council member or something like that, especially if they're self-employed. A lot of people they don't have the time that we spend to do this, but maybe they could if that was a consideration. So that there was no cost to the village. I learned in a separate discussion with Chris, you and I, you're the one that said that you brought that up initially and asked Lisa about it years ago, and I was just bringing it back to see if there was any interest by the council.
When I brought it up, and I think I mentioned it this time, I was asking about all boards, because we have voluntary boards that get $50 a month. And it might encourage people to volunteer more. Did you look at it across all volunteer boards?
It's just elected officials.
Right, and the problem with volunteer boards, honestly, is that people come and go more frequently than elected officials do, and so you'd constantly be adding and dropping and adding, which
So
adds a
say
lot of
if
extra
you're gonna do it,
paperwork.
you can only offer it to elected officials?
That's my understanding, but
Because
I wasn't
everyone gets
asked,
a
I wasn't
W-2.
asked to research it. I just
Yeah.
got that document.
Yeah,
She
and
threw that
I,
out there like it was only elected officials.
That's all the information. I've never heard of any municipality doing it for a board. I don't know whether you can or cannot.
and when
Is my
I
answer.
asked when
I've
I
never
asked
heard
the
of it, that's
league,
all.
she said, it depends on what your resolution says, which led me to believe that if you wanted to pass a resolution to allow boards, you could. But honestly, that would, because of, like I said, because of the turnover in all our boards, I would think personally that that would add a lot of time to staff because it takes time to add and drop people.
So Joe, you're part of this mayor thing, right? Can you find out from your little group of 5 how many of them are doing
I
this?
think she did. When
How many of those?
did you look at, you
Well,
said
we
that-
asked,
Did you reach
let's
out
see.
to them?
Yes, Barbie sent an email to the clerks.
Director Clark Lister.
Did they respond?
Some responded and some did not, and I just sent it to the clerks that were in Union County. I didn't send it to all the clerks. But there was only one
From
yes.
5, Weddington, Wesley Chapel,
There was only one yes out of all of them.
Yeah, one yes was Monroe.
and it's Monroe, which is a little bigger than we are at this time.
Stellings used to, but they do not anymore.
Why did they get out of it, do you know?
I don't.
Yeah.
I know there was an accounting issue at one point with someone.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's why or not, but
So Joe, if you can check on, how often you have your meetings with these guys, you can just ask a quick question.
Just once a month, but it's,
Yeah.
I thought we were gonna just look at this and determine they did the research on it, so we can call for a
But
vote.
none of our peers are doing it, our peer group.
you
is
can,
doing it.
that list.
Well,
you
oh,
can
They are.
look on that
There's 8 of
list.
them.
I don't
Do you
know.
guys know what their populations are for the other towns?
Yeah.
Weddington,
I don't know.
Weddington is about 12, Wesley Chapel's about 8. and
Well, now, I guess it would also depend on if they answered this, because, for example, we are not listed on here, so I'm not sure
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
survey.
what
It's whoever
survey this was.
Right.
decided to respond.
I don't see,
Mineral Springs, and if Waxhaw doesn't have it, that would be, it's a much larger,
Right.
39.
But my point, Robert, when we were talking, you actually saw it and you inquired with Lisa about it. We had nothing to do with board members. You actually told me you inquired with Lisa about it, saying, is that something that you could, because I assumed at that point, when your wife wasn't working and didn't have insurance, that you were insuring your own family. So you were inquiring about to Lisa, is that correct?
I asked her what they were paying because, and I was for it, provided it was for all boards.
Right. For, well,
I
not
told you that.
all boards. I don't think you said
Well, I
all
saw it as
boards.
an opportunity for like planning board and
But if it
parks
beca-
and greenways.
Yeah.
But if so right now, we're just talking about you.
They're not.
Well, no, we're not, because let's say Kim's husband is let go of his company. They don't do. I mean, all I'm saying is we're asking to see if that's something that, and I inquired about it. It was very genuine, asking if there was something where the council members would pay the full price if they could just join a group. Then I learned that you actually inquired about it previously to do that, and you didn't specify all boards, excuse me, you didn't specify all boards, so I said, oh, okay, well, Robert had supported that, but at that time, you didn't have your wife's insurance. Now that you're on your wife's insurance, what I'm saying is going forward as a village, it would be nice, kind of a nice little, if you want to call it something that is nice to look at, because they may, like Nick and yourself, have your own plan. You had your private plan. I had my private plan for years. But what I'm saying is, it opens up the doors for those individuals who would like to potentially run, but then realize, hey, I would have to give up so much of my time, what benefit it is to me, and at no cost to the village, it would actually, all it does is reduce their rates and allows them to join a group. And the last direction that you gave, I believe, Ron, was to see if it would cost the village anything, and I think they determined it would not.
Which is fine, but I'd really like to know if the other board members could get it, because that was where I was headed with it, Joe, it's a perk for everyone if it doesn't cost the village and it doesn't cost headache, why wouldn't we offer it to all of them?
And she answered that.
Just doing this for you?
No,
Doesn't
this
look
is not for me. This is actually,
This always becomes, I'm sorry, but this becomes always a one-off
Exactly.
thing.
No,
Yeah.
it's a question, I
Well,
said, if this,
let me ask you this question. You're saying for board members, Ron is saying, even for a council member, we don't know what it can cost in the future, so why on earth would we do it to board members?
that's,
Well, I don't know, yeah, that's my opinion, yeah.
that's what I'm saying, what research can we do to make sure it doesn't cost more? We don't enter into contracts not knowing what at the end of the day what we're gonna pay.
I don't think any of us are doing
We
this
just
for
looked into
money.
it.
You know, we're not doing this for
If
money.
it doesn't cost the
or
village
benefits, so
anything, I
it's-
don't care. I
Yeah.
don't care at all.
but that was our whole point.
Well,
But
If it doesn't cost the village anything, and she just, I think, determined that
the
it
other
did.
boards got dropped off somewhere along the lines. I was talking about planning board and parks and greenways also having the opportunity.
And that's what you were talking about when you
That
talked
was
to
my
Lisa
last
about.
email to Chris, I think,
Yeah.
was seeing what we can do for them.
Yeah.
That's where I was
And
at.
I did ask about that, and I was told that if your resolution included them, then she didn't see why that wasn't, it's whatever your resolution includes, because it needs to state who's gonna pay the premium and things like
Right.
that. It would have the details of it. And, my only comment to that was that it would definitely, there are more changes on boards, and so it has the potential to increase the number,
Part of what
amount
I
of
was
paperwork.
thinking is if they have that benefit, it would decrease.
Maybe.
If they take advantage of it, and everyone left, but if they take advantage of it, I would think they'd have an incentive to stay on the board.
Mhm.
As long
And
as
I
they
don't
can.
know how many
I guess my
take
only,
advantage.
my disadvantage of that would be, because the board's serve at all pleasure and we can remove whoever we want, whenever we want. I mean, now you've got somebody now that's got health insurance because of it, now you're gonna get rid of them, now you're taking health insurance away from them.
Someone's
At least an elected official, you get voted out, you get voted out. I mean,
And it's a commitment for you guys, for council, it's a commitment for 4 years. So if someone wants to run for council, that's 4 years that they can plan on accessing a healthcare.
Plus, you get voted out, you get voted out. I mean,
Right.
it's not with the judge, just at the whim of council.
But that is a good point, honestly, because our insurance does end on your last day of coverage
But then
of
there's COBRA.
employment. I know.
Because everyone that, even the other boards are W-2s.
Right, so I guess they would fall under COBRA.
And who pays when COBRA goes up? We do.
No?
No,
I
no,
don't-
they
I
would
don't-
continue,
yeah, I
COBRA
don't-
means that the
Yeah.
participant pays.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Participant
COBRA
pays.
is.
COBRA 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, I wasn't trying to complicate it, but if we're gonna do it, it just looks better. If we're gonna do it for council, which right now is just you, why wouldn't we be doing it for other boards?
No, I think she makes a good point because of the change of boards. We just saw someone for no reason, because she didn't give a reason, she just dropped off. So, and we don't know. What I'm saying is, I'm looking at it more for 4-year members of council. And again, it broadens the ability to attract more people to run for it. You said we can't even get board members to run, or hold them for that matter. Or they get let go for no reason. So there would be probably more of a nightmare for them of constantly making changes, to her point, which cost time and money and stuff, whereas a council member is on and is elected for a certain period of time, and that's when either they get voted off or they get reelected. It's just, all it does, it's not costing the village anything, it gives them access, and it appeals to those 6,000 some individuals within the village of Marvin to say, hey, that's a nice benefit. As we all know, these are sort of jobs that when you do the cost, or at least for me, cost to per hour, how much time I spend in meetings and stuff, you're really volunteering your time. But if it attracts more people, more qualified people, I thought, and if it wasn't going to cost the village anything, why not offer to that. With planning board and stuff like that, I mean, I'm open to it, but if she already looked at it and said that becomes more of a thing, then we, you know.
Yeah, again, what are we talking about costing the village more? If in 5 years it goes up $50, I mean, is that,
Right.
you know, what kind of increases do we see in the village, you know, like whatever?
Well, the village only contributes a flat amount. The village
we
contributes
said we were gonna
$700
cap it,
per
yeah.
each employee.
Yeah.
So if there was any additional cost, it would be in the amount over
Right, but
$700.
you get a thing that shows what the actual costs are.
Mhm.
So I'm saying, how much of our actual costs gone up over yearly did they go up? Does it seem,
Oh, I have that information in
I'm
my
saying,
other
it's
budget.
$10 a year or $50 a year or whatever, I mean, if it go, you know, I mean, if it goes up $1,000, that's no.
Yeah, it's not moving the needle that much for
One person.
for one person or actually ability for 5 people. And
It's the
stuff.
perception here that I'm more concerned about, Joe. You're gonna be the only one that's getting it. You're saying
And-
it's a benefit.
Yeah.
But the reality is, it's you getting it, and then people will come and say, look what they do. They voted
Yeah.
on giving them
And
something.
it's
That's
the
all.
same as the perception when you voted yourself a raise 2 years ago when you got into office.
I did. I'm
Yeah,
very
so,
comfortable with that.
yeah, I know,
Because I
so,
went from-
so that costs the village money, however, my proposal is not costing the village, my proposal is not costing the village anyone. I didn't ask for a raise.
You wanna give your money back?
You know what, I have no problem of sending
Can we vote on
that money back, Ron, because it's, I didn't ask for it. You came in and asked for it right away. That actually cost the village money, so that, you wanna talk about something that looks bad, that's a perfect example.
So, I make a motion to decline this at this time, so if Joe can prove that some of the people, our peer groups are doing this, then I'd be fine with it at this point. It's just benefits our mayor, and I'm not for it.
Chris, did you not say that some people were doing this?
Yeah,
He asked
Yeah.
about the 5, Waxhaw,
Yes.
Weddington. I don't have, none of them are on this survey, and none of them replied yes to us.
Yeah.
When we queried them.
I'm not asking you to take back your motion, but instead of saying no, can we just do the research?
Which additional
The
research?
5.
I'm fine with that, if you wanna delay it until then. If
Did
if
any
two of them are
of them
doing it, I'm
specifically
fine. I
answer
don't like to be a leader in spending
We
money.
might,
The
already
only-
has the list of who said yes or no.
If you guys want to decide right now whether or not other boards or not, that's fine.
I can
That-
send you this list of everyone too, if you want to see this.
Is that talk about their other boards?
No, this only talks about just the
Is that
municipalities.
survey that you gave
Yeah.
me?
Yeah, it
No, it
also
sounds
has.
Which doesn't include.
It sounds like we have two different questions. My only question is the other boards, because I'd like to see other people benefit. This question has to do with the other cities.
Gotcha.
Oh, does yours have, because the page at the back of what you gave me was firefighters. Is there another section that was possibly other boards that
go
wasn't
sure.
elected officials?
Just at the end, like, the interesting thing is every single one of them pays the full amount of health insurance.
On
For the employees.
Oh, for employees.
You don't have the whole thing, you just have those 6 pages.
Oh, right, which employees I had. Yes, we're told that all the
Can you scroll
time.
back up where you were?
Well, that's good.
What are the five?
What are the 5? Waxhaw,
Waxhaw,
Weddington,
Weddington, Wesley Chapel, Indian Trail.
Mineral Springs.
Mineral
Oh, Mineral
Springs.
And,
All right, no for Mineral
Us,
Springs,
Number
yeah,
5.
We're 5.
no answer for Indian Trail, no for Wesley Chapel, no for Wingate, no response from Weddington or Waxhaw.
There's nothing, I don't see anything for boards. Yeah, it goes fire and police, part-time employees, shared leave, elected officials, then volunteer fire rescue. But there's not a table for boards.
It's a volunteer fire rescue.
Chris, on this, it says the rates are impacted by group size. The next
Mhm.
group, 15 to 49. If we include boards, and let's just say every board member hops on, do we know what that increase would be?
Does the
No.
next group go up or down?
Oh, it goes out.
See, that doesn't make sense to me. I
You would think,
you
you're
would
spreading
think
it out
there's
more.
an
I'm
economy
not,
of scale.
honestly, I didn't ask her that question. I asked her how our rates would be impacted, so.
Okay, can we find that out?
I
Okay,
can
so
ask that
you want to
question,
delay?
yes.
You want to table this until we get that information?
I just don't want you to call it no, because I'm not a no. I just
Okay.
like the idea of the other boards having the opportunity. That's
Well,
all.
I'm willing
I'm just trying to
to
spread it out.
withdraw that, and if you can get the information from those 5 and also answer his question about the boards, and that
Okay.
probably help us make it.
I can ask about the group rate of 15 to 49 if it's higher or lower,
Right.
and then I can ask her
And then if it is
again
higher
about
or
other
lower.
boards, whether she knows if anybody, she wasn't in her office when I talked to her, she travels a lot, and so, I'll ask her if she can find that
If it's
information
lower,
for
that would
me.
be awesome. Not that, everyone would snatch it up. but that would be
Right.
terrific.
But
I-
full
I-
disclosure, I'd be in favor of as many people as we can get on. If they can get on a group thing and it not cost, and if they're willing to pay the full cost and it's not affecting us,
I don't understand.
I absolutely have no-
Why that's not a good thing.
Okay, I can get that and ask.
so
her.
we'll table that to the April meeting.
I would,
Or-
I
or
think
actually
we can
work
talk
session.
about that at the work session, because it
Okay.
shouldn't be that hard to find out that information
No, I
and
can
and
get
Okay.
that
vote on it.
information.
And if it-
Okay.
Okay, next up is discussing consideration proposed amendments to the Village Council, Marvin Village Council Rules and Procedures and for remote participation policy for meetings. Appointments, replace, mayor shall have the right to vote on all appointments that come before the council, remove only in case of a tie. And again, I think I talked to you, Melanie, this is not so much that I wanted the verbiage ready for this, because I was more trying to create a scenario where, because I think what happened, especially that, you know, when things aren't on the agenda and then all of a sudden they add things to the agenda, we want to be able to have as many of the council participating. So the idea came out where remote participation may be an option from, if Nick, I'm not picking on you, but if you happen to be in New York and want to be considered at the meeting and present to create a quorum, but then I think, is it you that mentioned something about that only creates a quorum that person cannot vote?
Right. What you have in your packet under 8D2 is a draft policy. This is, there wasn't a whole lot of direction. Under 1A, out of town was, I think, the one reason you all had mentioned. I put in B and C, the personal illness or disability in emergency situations, in case you wanted to add that in here. But what this does is make it a possibility just in limited situations. There is not any reported case law on this, and so most jurisdictions, if they do it, are hesitant in the circumstances that they allow it, because you wouldn't want some big rezoning or something controversial to be challenged because one of the members participated during remotely, electronically. So I think the important thing is that you don't allow it for quasi-judicial hearings or a closed session or any other meeting where the subject matter to be discussed is privileged or considered confidential. And that the person who is participating remotely shall not make motions and shall not cast the deciding vote on any matters. And you must have a quorum without counting the person who is participating remotely. Those are kind of the safeguards to make sure that we're not going to be challenged.
I think you're right. Frida wrote this, she has a bulletin out there, so you guys can look at this. It's exactly what you said, that you can do it, just don't be the deciding vote.
Right, and that's what this policy.
And we have, just so you know, we already have this approved for planning board.
Can I get a
We
copy?
did this
Who's,
I don't need,
give her Frida. Oh, Frida.
she's
She's a lawyer for
the school government.
school government. And she, when we did this about, remember?
Charlesburg, yeah.
Yeah, Luke Tolberg and Brian was on the board, and they were traveling a lot. So we weren't able to get quorum.
Right, and those aren't as big a deal because that's, they just offer recommendations, right? So legally,
yeah,
planning board
yeah.
decisions rarely
Right,
get challenged.
So coming to this, I think we can do this as long as we're saying, you know, I'm not gonna be the tie vote, you know what I mean, on that, or I'm not counting as quorum. So we have 3 people here. And if Nick's the fourth one, I'd like to hear his opinion, right? That way we don't lose it if he's away.
Right. So this is just a draft policy. Feel free to mark it up, change it, add, delete, whatever you all.
I mean, my thing is with 24 hour prior to the meeting, we're not gonna know if there's a personal illness or emergency.
Yeah.
Well, if you're ill,
I mean,
you're
if
probably
you're
not
ill-
getting on
You really probably don't want
electronically
to
either.
participate anyway.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, like, I think 24 hours and out of town, you gotta be like, out of town. Because personal illness,
But
Disability, like you'll know that 24 hours beforehand if you've broken your leg
I
or
guess,
whatever. and you
I
can't-
guess my question would be, is there a way to tighten up the rules that, so what I would hate to see happen is, an odd board come through and that because they have the advantage is they, take that advantage and all of a sudden suspend the rules and appoint, fire, hire anyone on a 2-to-1 vote. Okay, so I guess that's what I'm trying to, so my thought was, if there was a way to tighten up especially on those issues, hiring, firing, appointing, or removing someone from a board.
Is this different than this, Joe?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it isn't. It isn't, because it's about the rules, and if we're not going to be able to make a vote from an electronic thing,
All right.
okay, that's the reason you felt I was on I think you said the words, that I was on a power thing. I'm not on any power grab, but the mayor did for years. It was in our rules, and then
used it.
it doesn't matter, but it was a rule, Ron, and I used it.
Yeah.
And then you decided to change it and pull it because you wanted. So, and then I distinctly remember when there was a tutor, Nick was not here, it wasn't on the agenda. And there was another time when Nick was here, you actually brought forth something to us, documents about how Weddington did something in a report, and you not only and I specifically asked you in that meeting, are we only going to discuss it? And you said yes, but you took it a step further and actually went to a vote. I have no problem discussing it, but going to a vote without it being on the agenda 48 hours
Like the
prior.
house last week?
Was
Was that the same thing, Buck?
No,
That was
because
a discussion itself.
no, we actually did it in the meeting at the retreat.
What's the same thing
The
here?
retreat.
You're just saying
No.
I did it at me?
No, we were
John.
discussing that. We put it on the agenda. We did put it on the
It
agenda
wasn't
for the
on,
retreat.
that house wasn't on the agenda.
Discussion.
Village
Discussion
Hall
and
was on the
considers.
agenda.
Village
Village
Hall.
Hall, that's not Village Hall, that's a new property purchase.
It could be,
That's
it
true.
could be Village Hall.
Well,
Oh,
read it.
semantics.
How
So
would,
now we're getting into semantics. So
Semantics.
that
Funny,
absolutely
and they
can't be
want
Village
to
Hall is what you're saying.
yeah.
Is that what you're
Could-
saying?
Could be a house.
No, my point
My,
was, you said.
Village Hall, we felt that was gonna be
You guys put it
discussed.
on the agenda without 48 hours notice.
No, it was on the
Village Hall
agenda,
was
Village
on the
Hall.
agenda.
Village Hall.
So you're bringing it, no, it was on the agenda, Village Hall, okay? So
No,
if you were at the meeting, you would learn that we took a pause over here to see if that was an option or an opportunity. That's what we did, okay? Because that's considered a potential Village Hall. It is.
So
Okay,
did you
so
guys
if
go
you
into
would've come-
closed session?
Yes.
Yes, we did, yeah.
So they had a
That
closed
wasn't
session.
on the agenda. That's
No.
what I'm trying to say. That wasn't on the, that
No,
house
the,
purchase was not on the agenda. And going into closed session was not on the agenda. My point is,
Yeah.
I am with you 100% on these rules, but you gotta follow them too.
but no, we do. I mean, if it was it on the agenda? Did
It was
we-
added.
We added it to the
You
agenda
added
on that
Is
day.
that added to the agenda?
Yeah, yes,
Right.
yes.
So,
So, but again, these rules have not been defined up until now. That's why I'm trying to clarify them. So
Till
what's the
today,
difference?
you're okay
No,
with
wait a minute. What's the difference of me? Okay, say I took advantage of what you guys did in a previous meeting. You took advantage of that rule. I'm saying let's tighten that up. Here's a perfect example. You want to blame me for adding to the agenda? Don't allow me to do that anymore. Have it 48 hours on the agenda where if there is a 2-to-1 split and all council isn't here, then you can take advantage of that situation and add something to the agenda. Okay? In that situation, we didn't have a 2-to-1 split. You two didn't show up for the meeting. They voted on it.
so what are you proposing?
I
I
guess
took a
if,
bathroom break, I'm sorry.
that's okay. I think we determined that the electronic vote wouldn't have any ability for them to vote
Yeah, they can
Alright.
vote, they can't be,
the deciding vote.
Deciding
Deciding
vote.
vote. There has to be a quorum present.
Okay.
In order for that to
So you
happen.
couldn't be the deciding vote, you could be the.
but you can be in the
Unanimous.
majority, right,
Right.
you can be in the, yeah,
You can't
we'd
be
have to play
deciding
around
vote.
with the math, yeah.
You
to
can't be
figure out.
deciding vote. If there's three of
Right.
us here and you
And it
can be
passes
the
without
floor.
you, you're fine.
But if there's two of us here, you can't be the one that goes over and makes it work.
And splits it.
If they need, let's say you're out of town,
Right.
you're participating electronically, if they need your vote in order for the motion to pass,
Right.
then the motion would not pass.
No, but in other words, my vote, in other words,
What about the split?
so, yeah, so if it was 2-1,
Split isn't deciding, you're deciding the split.
Okay, so then they could use that.
Yes, vote.
we'd make it a tie.
Creates
Create
the
a
tie.
I don't think that, yeah.
And
That's
why
not
they don't
considered,
do
uh,
it. I read up on it too.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why they don't do it.
Yeah, they don't do it.
I don't know who they is.
Okay, let's move on, we got just a long
Oh,
night.
hold on.
That's why it's not addressed in general statute. I don't know how you want me to define they.
The
There
deciding
are
vote
towns
is-
and counties that do this.
is a second vote, that's not a deciding vote. If
It's
if
not
it's a tie, it's not a
extremely
deciding
popular.
vote.
You're correct.
Yeah,
It's not extremely popular.
Right, but there are towns and cities that do
yeah.
it.
Now, if I was gone as the person who doesn't vote and it's a 2-2 split, then I would be a deciding vote, that wouldn't
But
count.
your board is extremely unusual too because you are so small. So most
We
other
are
boards
a
don't.
mayor, council form of government as defined by this general statute.
Yes.
Right, but most people have 7 at least.
But that's not how our charter was set up.
Right.
Right.
Definitely.
Is this for me?
Yeah,
So,
thanks.
so again, then if we can't determine what deciding votes are, we're gonna play semantics on it. All I was saying is to tighten it up, that anything going forward that should be on that agenda 48 hours notice. I don't wanna be, Nick and I were surprised one day where the clerk never received it that day, by the way. She never received it. Nick and I got information at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon for a 6 o'clock meeting that Ron provided us with, and then they went and made a decision on
So
something.
just,
So that's what I want to avoid happening, and it really protects them.
right, so council wants a rule of procedure drafted that covers items that you need to vote on not being added the night of the meeting, right?
Yeah, really, anything shouldn't be added. If we really brass
Well,
tacks and stuff, and I'll let council
Discussion, I
decide.
mean, discussion
But
items
little
okay, or
little
not?
things that aren't
Discussion items are fine.
discussion items are fine if they want to add it, but not making decisions on it within. And again, it's at 48 hours. If it gets on the agenda 48 hours in advance, we all know we
But
have
the
time to
agenda is
prepare.
published like 5 days in advance. This 48 hours is,
Yeah.
Right.
and that, a lot happens from Wednesday until Tuesday.
Sure. But she can also post that agenda and update that agenda 48 hours before. So that 48 hours is also respect to the constituents too, because they're looking to see what are they going to be talking about. Is
Okay.
it something
So
they're
it's
interested
48 hours, not when
before
Barbie-
the meeting?
Before the meeting, not when Barbie gets the agenda out on
Correct.
Wednesday.
Correct.
Well, but our package is supposed to go out 10 days ahead of time.
No, 5 days.
Yeah,
Your
that's
rules of
Wednesday.
procedure says
So
5
5
days.
We
And the
changed
hard
it to
copies.
5? I thought
It's
it was
never
10
been
that was
10.
10 business days.
No, it's never been 10.
Really?
It's always been 5.
Nick, you remember? Usually 2 weeks.
What used to be.
Yeah. Huh.
It says it would open the process to unacceptable manipulation and remote participation
Okay.
rights were determined based on the expected outcome of the
Were you
particular,
reading?
this Frida thing.
Oh.
I prepared something as well.
Anyway, that's all I was doing is like, you guys just had a valid complaint that we didn't have the close the session agenda, but we've done that. We've added closed sessions. Former council has done that, and this council has done that. So let's be as transparent as possible and write that in, that anything that's not on the agenda can't be used.
I think you might want to leave the door open though for circumstances like when Chris had that contract that she received from DOT and it had to be executed and the deadline was prior to your next meeting,
Mhm.
right? And she got it in the mail that
Right,
day. So I think the
Extenuating circumstances.
door needs to be open for circumstances where there needs to be a decision made prior to the next
Right.
regularly scheduled meeting.
I
That's
don't,
work
I don't
session.
see this as something we're doing every meeting. It seems that as we're moving forward and we're trying to have less meetings, that means you're gonna have 4 weeks and 5 weeks in between. You're not gonna be, you shouldn't be cutting us off where you can't make decisions 48 hours, and if we miss it, now we gotta wait till the next meeting.
And like when I went to my mom's 80th birthday in California,
Right.
I knew I was giving up my right to vote.
Yeah.
I had no expectation of calling in and voting.
No, I mean, that's,
I mean, that was my decision.
and we learned that you couldn't. It doesn't, you could vote, but it, not in a, an important thing. So that, I don't see the need for a electronic either, quite frankly. Then what I'm saying is, quite frankly, is let's be fair and transparent to the public when we say this is what's going to be on the agenda. Now, and we can limit it to discussion and consideration. You can bring it up for that. But actually taking a vote on it may be something that we avoid. And I'll leave it for you guys to.
Moving forward, okay. I think we're on the same page. Previous councils, this council, the new council, everyone has been guilty of adding stuff at the last minute.
Sure.
I'm just saying, going forward, let's avoid it as much as possible.
I mean, as much as possible is not really teeth.
And I guess the real one we're looking at though is the appointments issue. The appointments, the removals, the hirings and the firings. Maybe we just need to change the rule that says basically any appointments, removals, hirings, or firings on any board or employee.
On those items only must be.
Either they need what's a supermajority, vote of 3, 4?
4.
4 is unanimous.
4
No.
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. You consider everyone, right? Supermajority.
Excluding the mayor, if the mayor doesn't
Yeah,
vote, but if the mayor
it's
votes,
four.
then we count you.
In a supermajority.
So for us,
Supermajority, that's everybody except
That's
for
it,
you.
Right.
yeah.
So that requires a supermajority to be done.
So
Right.
3 council person can say yay, 1 can say no, and then that would be a, yeah, so you're right.
Supermajority, yeah.
Yeah. That's not a
I don't think we should
supermajority.
be firing anybody without everyone present, to be honest.
Right. But that's been done in the past, and it's unfortunate because it wasn't even on the agenda, and we weren't prepared to even look at it. That's what I'm saying is, let's protect us all and be fair to the public and be fair to that employee that it's just like a knee-jerk reaction,
Employee, board member, I mean, actually.
So you want a rule of procedure drafted that states for any
Appointments, removals,
hiring and firing.
hirings or firings, appointments or removals of any board members, planning board, or any board members, hiring or firing of any employee requires a supermajority, requires 3 votes. Because the mayor doesn't count in the supermajority portion.
So,
I mean, I think that's-
if you miss a meeting, we can't do any appointments.
Right. You can if you have 3 votes.
You can if you have 3 votes.
If you have 3 votes, you can.
So, if we get 3, oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm saying it's 3, there's 3, still 3 councilors. Yeah.
That's what
It's not precluding us. So, a perfect example, Ron, may be someone
I got it.
at the
Yeah, 2 councilpeople
at
move
the
in,
park
shouldn't be making it.
who was caught, doing drugs, who's an employee or selling drugs, that may grounds for immediate, or that would probably be taken by the administrator. But if it was someone that we had, maybe the administrator was doing it and the council had to vote on it, I would think you would get 3 votes to remove that employee if they did something, I mean, I could see it coming up for that, and a supermajority is probably better than doing the 48 hour. Because you're going to get covered either way. At that point, if you have 3 votes, you got the thing. So
Okay, so
Is
can
that-
you work on that for
yeah.
next meeting?
Yes, so are you, so you're done with remote participation meetings?
We're not
Yes,
doing
yeah,
that.
we're not
We
doing
already
that.
have
We're
that
not
for
doing
planning board. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys are aware of that, but that is
Yeah.
on the books.
yeah, so we didn't.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
that's why I told you not.
And then what about for the rule of procedure about you voting for?
No, I don't need that. I mean,
Okay, that's not-
we'll still keep where the mayor does not have a vote.
Votes only in case of a tie.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
And I missed a lot when I went to go back.
We don't know when you want to come back to.
Again, okay. Next up, we're on 9 or 8. We're on 8. 8E. Finalize and execute council letter to the HO boards. Kim had some comments. I don't know if anyone else did, but this is what I think. Ron, we changed it to having all our names we put on that. Did you guys get a chance to look at that?
I didn't, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It's here though somewhere, I'm sure.
May I use the restroom while you're looking at that real quick.
No, I grabbed it before you got it. I saw you getting out, so I wanted to get some fruit.
I just don't want anybody to get food poisoning tomorrow.
No, I figured with those sandwiches, they need to be put up.
Is that shut off?
They were good, by the way. Where the bottle thing?
What is the mailing cost?